We are back. It is day 3 of the Pivoting Digital Summit. I'm your host, Chris. And starting off today, we have Jeremy Aker, interviewed by my colleague, Tia Gilbert. Let's see what they had to say.
Hey everyone, this is Tia Marie Gilbert with Infinite Media Resources, and I would like to thank you today for joining us in our Pivoting Digital Summit, where we're teaching business owners and entrepreneurs how they can make their way in the digital realm. Today, I have brand technologist from Brand to Expand, Mr. Jeremy Aker here, and he is going to give us an overview of what brands need, what they want, and where they should start, as well as giving us an inside look at what a brand profile and a brand ecosystem is. So thank you so much, Jeremy, for joining us. I've learned so much from you in the past, and I'm very excited to see what you have today and hear what you have to say. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Tia. I'm going to learn a lot from you as well. So
good.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, well, let's dive right on into it.
Okay.
Let's start out with, in today's age, or today's day and age, what do brands want? What do they want out of the digital realm?
Well, there's a lot of expectations out there. I've been working with probably dozens of brands over the last few years, and it depends on who they are. There's people trying to build personal brands. You have organizations and nonprofits trying to build strong community type brands, and then your more conventional business brands. But at the end of the day, they're usually looking to sell more of their products and services, maybe attract more leads, drive more traffic, more signups, more donor contributions. Some of them are just trying to establish themselves as thought leaders and message out. Seems like everybody's kind of looking for some sort of silver bullet of marketing and branding to get their name out there and accomplish one of those things.
Okay, and I totally agree. At least in my experience, that's kind of what my customers and my clients have wanted out of all this. Now, where do you think these brand leaders or these business owners, where should they start in pivoting digital? How do they move their strategy from print and radio into internet marketing, Facebook ads, Twitter ads? Where do they really go to begin?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's by the time I talk to them, they usually have made a decision. They're either shopping for, a website or an app or, a social media strategy or an SEO consultant or an advertising campaign. And a lot of times, not even just changing from print to digital, but just in general, they're putting the cart before the horse a little bit. Really what they need is a cohesive strategy. The way the digital world works, it's very evolutionary. You have everything's kind of changing at different clips. So in social media, each platform is constantly changing, and there's new updates, new features, new capabilities. In advertising, the rules are constantly changing. Google changes the rules for search, for example, on their own schedule. It doesn't work around other people. So a lot of times, like I said, they're usually coming looking for something specific, and my job is really to back the whole thing up and talk about getting a good, strong, fertile foundation before we start, going after these various objectives, whether it be a website or social media or any one of those things.
So how do you do that, Jeremy? How do you work with them to set the firm foundation?
Well, it's not rocket. It's kind of more like building a rocket out of Legos. It's really very simple. Usually a piece of paper and a pen is a good place to start. But I usually rally everything I do with my clients around a very basic document that I call a brand profile. And really what this is going to be a collection of your brand assets, your brand channels, the pertinent messaging to your business, all the information really that is going to be used throughout your pivot into digital. And kind of setting a strong foundation is really what allows us to run a lot faster to start pursuing some of those things.
Okay, so would you say that to start out with, a business needs a brand profile? That's something that is
absolutely
very necessary. Okay. Now, I believe you're going to show us an example of one of these. Is that correct?
Yeah, so I actually I have a really interesting one I'm working on right now, and this one is called, the business is called Fantasy Cleveland, and what Fantasy Cleveland is it's a family-owned live music and special event complex. It's about 5 minutes from the heart of downtown Cleveland, Ohio. It's been in business for about 50 years. The history is just incredible with this place in terms of the artists and the types of things that have happened here. But they're at a critical point with their journey in that the family that owns the business is getting ready to sell it, or has been trying to sell it, I should say, for a couple years. And what they have is a building with a ton of history, and they've never really made that pivot to digital. Their potential buyers really come in two different categories. This is either a buyer that's going to buy the business and keep it open as a live music venue, or it could be a buyer that wants to come in and bulldoze this historic building down and put up a drugstore or something like that. So the family obviously would love to sell this business to a buyer that's going to continue on with the legacy of it as a music venue. However, because they haven't really made that pivot to digital yet, as prospective buyers are out looking at this potential opportunity, they're not seeing that whole wonderful side of the brand behind this particular business. So I'm going to take you in and show you an example of a brand profile for the Fantasy Cleveland complex here. Let me switch over.
Okay.
And you can just let me know when you can see that.
Okay, I can see it perfectly.
Awesome. Yeah, so our brand profile here, this is the template that I've created to use with my clients, and this really becomes a working document. So the important thing to know here is that what this brand profile looked like even last week was different. As I started working with the Fantasy a few months ago, this was very bare and did not have a lot of detail in it. But over time, as I work with my clients, we slowly build these brand profiles out. And I'm going to show you the first page here and then one step in. But this is one of about 12 pages or so of kind of background information that make up this working document. And this is the main page, and it really breaks down into a few key areas. The first section, which is what a lot of people associate with the word brand, is like your logos and icons, the colors maybe your color palette that you use to do advertising for your brand, and maybe the fonts that you use in any sort of print media. So what's important to know in terms of the Fantasy complex here, as I started working with them, they really did not have strong logo sets. There's actually 4 music venues inside of this building. There is no cohesion between their various brands for the different venues. They did not have good file formats for their logos, meaning that if they needed to do any large format projection or print, we wouldn't be able to blow them up with any sort of resolution. And their logos were just designed incorrectly for use in the digital world. So a logo set today, in terms of being used online, usually you're going to have a rectangular logo and then multiple square icons for use across social media. So right out of the gate, without even getting into anything about this business, we had a logo project we had to work on. Again, this precedes, chasing social media, designing a new website. It precedes, firing off an ad or starting any sort of campaign. So again, this filling in this section was something we were comfortable with. Was a priority that we uncovered through building the brand profile process. And then the same thing carries over into fonts and colors as well. We realized that they hadn't, committed to any sort of color story for their business. All of these types of things are enablers for them to work with outside advertising folks, to work with people who are going to co-promote their business. So when you go in and you set these very basic visual standards with colors, fonts, logos, and icons right out of the gate, it saves you a ton of time and effort down the road in kind of trying to figure this stuff out and slowing you down in that respect. So it was again, a very quick, obvious thing that a lot of people think, well, I have a good logo, but when we sat down and looked at it, we were missing all kinds of important information.
Would you say that happens a lot?
Every one of my clients, and I even have, most of my clients are small, mid-sized businesses, but I do have one large enterprise client, several $100 million company, also struggled with this. When I went into their business and tried to learn about the brand standards in the simplest form, what does your logo and icon sets look like? Where's your font strategy and your color palette? I couldn't find any sort of agreement or consistency there. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty much is a major issue for a lot of people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you for fixing it for them. I know at least for some of the businesses I've worked with, it has been a reoccurring problem. And I think it's a lack of knowledge on the internet, honestly, because these people are so busy wearing the hat that they want to in their business and their job that they don't really expand into learning about cyber stuff or computer stuff. It's just something that a lot of people aren't interested in, I would say. So that's where hiring an expert like yourself or Infinite Media Resources comes in handy.
For sure. Yeah. And then again, all these parts are just enablers that make your life and your job easier on down the road. Once you do this, like I said, this is a working document, but you kind of shelf this and you use it time and time again, and it makes everything easier for everybody that's involved. So even when you're done working with a brand to expand or an Infinite Media Resources down the road, you have some sort of guiding rules here for your brand and how it's presented online. Yeah,
and it helps to be organized in any business. So this is perfect. This could help out with marketing campaigns, advertising campaign, pretty much anything that the business is trying to do. So
yeah, there's some other kind of important parts of it. I'd say that the goals, value, and story, and you see that's right in the center of the brand profile here, is the most critical piece. So this is also something that plagues a lot of businesses. When I get in, you ask them, say, what are your goals for your online marketing efforts or for building your brand online? Even to come up with this list. Now, this has been a family-owned business here that's been around for 50 years. It was hard to even get this short list created. This took several conversations over a couple weeks to really get some of this dialed in and make sure that all the stakeholders in the business were on the same page. But in terms of the fantasy complex, the very basic, they wanted to present themselves better and clean themselves up online. We talked about increasing the resale value of the brand. They have day-to-day business in terms of booking live music shows, and they were hoping that whatever we do online was going to increase the bookings. And specifically for this venue, there's two different ways the venue is booked. One is room rentals, and that's where it's most profitable and seems to work best. So they wanted to target a whole new subset of potential prospects. These would be booking agents and promoters, people who would be likely to come in and rent the room. In the past, they had been marketing themselves, at least in all their language and their social media and all of their presence that they did have on the web. They were marketing to the bands themselves, and they were not targeting their messaging properly for what their goals were. So we won't go through all these, but you can, as you go through the goals, the value, which is your value proposition within the space that you're in, and the story. This becomes the core that really drives all of the messaging that happens in your advertising campaigns and your social media conversations. So we got into this, and the value is basically a lot of square footage in this venue. There's not a lot of other venues that have this. They do have very competitive rates, and it's very much a local vibe. So these three value points, as you look at their website that we're working on now, as you see the kind of things we're doing online on social media, you'll see that language weaved into everything that we do. And even, even down here, in the story part of it, they had a 4-mile long About Us page on their past website that had all kinds of detail. And we, using the value points and what their goals were, we were able to define a much more concise story, which we can parse up into pieces and use for various social media profiles or various press release information, and so on and so forth. So we started off with the colors, fonts, and logos, which is where most people are comfortable. You move into getting into some of the nitty gritty and talking about their goals and what separates the business. And then the final piece of it is really to do a really strong audit, or take an inventory of all of the different places that your brand touches your audience. So that would be our channels section down here on the left. And I have it broken out into 3 sections. So your fixed channels being your websites and all the various websites that you may own. Outside channels now are a big thing that get missed by a lot of brands. And these are channels where your brand is represented, but you don't necessarily own the site. So a good example is Google My Business, Bing listings, Yahoo Local, YP, Yelp, even Wikipedia. So there's ways to get in and claim these listings to where you can control the messaging that's on there. You can control the contact information, your logos, and all that kind of stuff. But I see more often than not businesses forget that they are represented inside of directory listings and all these outside channels. So these are just as important to get our arms around too. And then in the case of the fantasy here, just a plethora of social media channels. So when I put this list together specifically for the fantasy, the owner was shocked. She had no idea that there were all of these different touch points where people would be interacting with her business brand, and she had very little control over most of these. So that was a huge part of kind of putting together this first brand profile for the fantasy.
I'm sure she was very impressed. Good job, Jeremy. So where do you go after you have a brand profile? What's the next step for business owners or entrepreneurs?
Well, now we've got this working document. We're building on it. We're improving it. We're filling in the blanks. We're checking some boxes. We're making sure we've got everything lined up. The next step is to start to kind of unwind the whole ecosystem. Where do all these things intersect? How do all these things talk to each other? I'm going to apologize right now for the eye chart here, but it is this complex. So we won't get into where all these arrows are going or what they're doing. But this is something I use, and I try to make it as simple as possible. We'll call it the brand ecosystem, and it's just taking a look at your brand and all of those different channels and all of those different things that you're using, and really where they all work together. There's a few things we'll look at on here, but that these become the enablers or the drivers towards your goals. So those are the connections we'll focus on. But what you see here is kind of at the far right, we've got the world, which is basically what we're trying to do with our brand is share it with the world. There's always a feedback loop, as you can see on most of this stuff. And then over here on the far left is our basically what represents our website. And then there's these few things in the middle, in between our website and the world, that become a lot of our tools in our toolbox to do a lot of the things that we're going to do. So I map this stuff out for my clients so they can kind of get a grasp of what's going on. In terms of measuring influence and impact, we start to tally up our fans and followers on our social media channels. We start to tally up subscribers to our blog. We are working with email and text marketing databases with this business. So we start to look at these, and we create some sort of metric on here or measurement to show how we're doing in that department. Because part of the strategy is to grow the influence, and we're going to do things with advertising and some tricks down the road to grow these channels and to add to these databases and to add these subscribers. So we're always looking at that, and we're always measuring it on a month-over-month basis.
This is a good thing to show progress too.
Yeah, and again, this is all in. It's all a working document that we use, and this becomes the foundation for all of the meetings that we have. So we me and my clients, we're going to bust this thing out. every week, and we're going to update progress and review and take a look at where we can have the impact.
Would you say the visual version makes it easier for them to comprehend how everything works together since they have a lack of knowledge in the whole website and internet department, usually? For
sure. This one can be a little scary. I put this in front of people and they're just like, oh my goodness. But so the way we usually start a conversation about our ecosystem doc here is, let's talk about a business problem or a business challenge, right? And so in the case of the fantasy, for our example, they might say, we have no bookings in May right now, and we're getting a little scared. Usually we're booked up. And so what we'll say is, what do we need to do to drive more bookings, and what actions can we take? And usually when we start from an actual problem to solve, we can jump right in here and say, okay, well, is our booking page converting? That's the basic. Are we getting any traffic to our booking page? If not, what are we doing to drive traffic? If we're getting traffic to our booking page, but nobody's signing up, is our booking page actually set up for business? And is it going to help us do that? That's kind of square one. Okay, now we can have those conversations, and then we can move into, well, how do we get more attention to the booking page? Well, there's certain things we can do in social media. There's certain things we can do with our databases to hit up different people that we have access to, and so on and so forth. So again, while the visual aid, like you're talking about, can be complicated like this and daunting, when you take an actual business problem and start to run it through the cycle here and put it in the ecosystem, you can see, and it helps understand why we're doing everything that we're doing.
Very nice, Jeremy. I think this is a great tool, and I'm sure it definitely helps explain it, and it's something that I would recommend anyone starting out create, at least either for the clients or themselves. It's a great way to track everything. So thanks, Jeremy. And then, absolutely. Let me go ahead. Okay.
I can jump back out here.
That's what I was asking, if you want to come back in. Awesome.
I'm back.
Yay! That's a lot of good information, and I definitely appreciate it. I guess the next question I want to ask you would be, what are some of the most common challenges you see come up in the beginning when you're taking these business owners on this journey of switching to digital and incorporating that into their sales strategies and rebate strategies, all that stuff?
Right out of the gate, it's always patience. There's, like I said, I'm more about let's do it right the first time. So just like what we just talked about, they want to talk about that big ad campaign, and I got to drive these sales, and I've got to do these things. And I'm like saying, okay, that's good. We can do that, and we definitely can chase that. But if we want to do it twice as good next time, we should be doing this as well. So let's go back and put the brakes on for take an inventory of your brand assets. What's your messaging? What are all your channels? What are all of your opportunities? So patience is a huge issue. Most business owners are get it done kind of people. They don't want to talk about all the details. But certain things, especially when it comes to this, they kind of need to be hashed out along the way. So yeah, it's always about tempering the excitement and the patience. So you can waste a lot of money online on digital advertising. You can waste a lot of money on website design. You can waste a lot of money on social media services. So I always, the way to temper that patience is to talk about all those examples and say, listen, we can go down this road, but you're not going to get the return that you could get if we take a step back for a second and really work through this. And then, in 6 months, when you want to run after that squirrel or that shiny thing, we're going to be ready. We'll be ready to go. We can run as fast as we can. So. Thank you. Yeah,
I definitely think that sometimes people, like you said, get too excited and they want to do everything right now, and they don't want to set up the roots, the foundation of everything. They just want to get the fruit automatically, and it doesn't work like that. But okay, Jeremy, how can people get in touch with you if they'd like to contact you further about all this?
Well, just head to my website, which is brand2expand.com, and hit me up there, or write at my email at jeremy@brand2expand.com.
That was Jeremy Aker on how you can use your brand to get more customers in today's digital age. The next speaker you're going to hear from is Stoney. He'll speak about how you can use website architecture and some other things to increase your digital presence in today's digital age. Let's make it happen.
Thank you for being with us for another Pivoting Digital interview. Today we have Stoney DeGator, and I hope I said that wrong. He is the CEO of Pole Position Marketing, and he's also the author of the Best Damn Marketing Checklist, period. So you can go and get that ebook on Amazon. That'll also help you get your marketing in the right place. But hey, Stoney, thanks for being with us today. We look forward to learning from you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Awesome. So, hey, let's jump right in here. One of the first things I like to start out with is, there's a lot of business owners out there that are running their own digital marketing, that are trying to get more customers, that are trying to increase their revenue. But I feel like a lot of them don't have a direction on, how to go or where to, I guess, market to, or whatever the case is. And I'm curious, when you come into a business, or when you work with a business owner, or for your own business in general, what are some of the first things that you do to bring your business into the digital age and make sure that you're doing the right marketing for your company or for your clients?
Yeah, well, most of the clients who come to us already have a website, or they want to improve their online presence. So usually the first thing we look at, if they don't have a specific goal, say, hey, I want to be on social media and help me over there, or help me build a website. If they come and just say, hey, we got this website, we want to get more traffic, more business. Usually the first thing I look at is the architecture of the website, get into the code, see if there's any problems with site spidering, slowness of the site, whether it's HTTPS, and overall, whether the navigation is structured properly for the visitor experience, kind of how you want things to flow with keywords and how people are thinking about these things. So that's kind of the first thing that I look at. Because if you don't get the architecture right, then everything else is pretty much going to fall flat. Now, you can go out and do social media, make a bunch of noise there. You drive people back to a website that just doesn't perform. So you've got to get the performance of the site right before you can really dive into much of anything else.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I say that same thing, is you don't want to send 1 million people to your website when it's not going to convert any of those viewers into new leads, into new customers, or anything like that. So that's definitely, a great first step. And, what are some of the things you see business owners doing wrong right now with their website architecture that's really not, I guess, performing as much as they really could be with their website?
Yeah, one of the things I see a lot is the navigation, where, people have a navigation, they go, well, here's the about us, here's the contact us, and then here's our services. And the problem is that puts too much focus on about and contacting you before people even know what those services are that you're offering. So what I like to do is look at a navigation and go, if that's all they saw, they need to know exactly what you do. So the navigation itself is an indicator of what it is that you offer, and then they can start diving in right away without having to click under a link that says services or products or anything like that. And then you just kind of get everything boiled down to 5 to 7 categories, and then let people start digging into the site from there. But otherwise, you're hiding that, and your pages should show, but you don't want people to have to rely on reading content before they actually get a sense of who you are and what you offer.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And, that's one big thing that I've seen is a lot of businesses in the past, they have this same kind of template that their website is, home, about us, contact us. And, they all have the same information on the websites and things like this. And, it doesn't seem like it's a sales funnel. It doesn't seem like it's, geared towards driving any kind of traffic to their business. It's almost just information on a page. And people are hoping that that's going to capture their audience. And, I get from, reading your blogs and what you do, that you understand that that's not going to capture your audience, that you have to fix your site structure. You have to, I was just reading your article on, A, B, and C audience, on how to capture them all, but not on the same pages and things like that. Yeah. So it seems like you're a big proponent of, focusing one page towards a certain audience and then navigating towards different pages for people that need to go some places. Could you explain your thought process behind, the way you set up a site like that, and maybe why you do it a little bit?
Yeah, well, I mean, every search has a particular intent in mind, and it may be somebody going, "Hey, I'm just researching this. I'm at the beginning stages of trying to understand what it is I want or what I need." And then if somebody's looking for something to buy or a service to engage in, then they get information, and as they research, they learn, and then they refine their searches, and they move through this buying cycle from research to shopping to actually I'm ready to buy the product. And the difference in the keywords is pretty vast. Where the research end, it might be widescreen TV. And then as they get into that shopping stage, they're looking for 4K high high resolution widescreen TV. And then on the actual buying cycle, they're putting in specific. I want a Sony 65-inch 4K 3D television with these features. And you get into those long tail phrases. And you want to make sure that you're delivering people to the page that best corresponds to that search. And of course, people understand, yeah, sure, we want to deliver the page that they're looking for. But the content itself needs to match that intent. If people are in that research phase, you need to give them content that basically helps them through that research process, helps them understand, overall what you're offering, and then gives them the option, okay, click here to learn about this or go this direction to get deeper and deeper in. And then when they're at that buying phase, you want to make sure it's like, hey, this is it. This is the product you're looking for. Let's buy this thing and move on. And really that's all that's about, is understanding the intent of the searcher for any particular phrase, and then look at the page and go, does it meet that intent? And then is it helping the searcher go from that intent to the next intent that gets them closer to that conversion?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And, the way that Google and, well, not really, yeah, Google algorithms, things like that are going, is they're really looking for pages that are describing what that search is for, so I guess my best example is if you have a page that's built on X, and you're speaking about X, Y, and Z, Google would rather see you speak about only X and just X. Don't throw in the Y and the Z, because it's a little, I guess it's not as niched, or at least I don't know if that's explaining it correctly.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at what is the topic, but then how do you zero in on that topic without getting too broad and too deep? And of course, there's a difference between website pages and blog posts, which are informational based, where people are just looking for information, where those can be a lot broader, and you want to be as comprehensive as possible. But again, you don't want to go, hey, I'm going to write everything there is to know about widescreen TVs. That's just way too much information. Versus you narrow it down going, I'm going to write about 4K TVs, and what that is. So you're still talking about the TVs, but you're zeroing in on something that's very specific that people want to know about, and then you're capturing that traffic. So you got to kind of balance that and go, what is it that people are wanting to know? How do I be as comprehensive as possible within that niche, without getting too deep, but also without getting too narrow, where it's like, I've got nothing to say but a couple words about it, So you got to look for those opportunities to provide a good amount of content. It's really not about the amount of content, but it's about being comprehensive with what you have.
Now, when you're using this, A, B, C kind of content, are you using it in the form of blogs, in the form of certain, new pages on your website, or how are you capturing those different buying, I guess, stages in the buying process to relay which kind of information you want your customer to see?
Yeah, and that goes back to depending on where they are in the cycle. If you're looking at the research phase, somebody typing in widescreen TVs, you need to land them on a page that basically says, look, here's our selection of TVs. Here's all about them. Here's the information you need to know. And then as they narrow in, say they go, I want a Sony TV. Well, now you land them on a page that's strictly about Sony TVs, content that's relevant only for Sony TVs. To go into the buying cycle, then it's the product page. That's where you're landing them because they typed in a very, very specific search. Once you get out of that and you get into the informational queries, that's where you get into blog posts. And there's a lot of times, you just got to kind of understand what type of information is this person looking for. Maybe they're not shopping at all. So where does that information best belong? You don't you don't usually want to clutter up your main site with a lot of content pages that are redundant in the sense where it's like, well, I've got a page for 60-inch TVs and I got a page for 70-inch TVs. A little bit redundant, if you're writing content trying to bring in people going whether they're searching for 60 or 70. You can do that on the blog fairly easily, but on the main site, you want to keep the information, keep that process from getting overly cluttered. Keep it streamlined so people can easily find what they're looking for without having to search too far and deep through the navigation and too many clicks. So the blog is a good place, but you also got to remember that the blog is not where you're going to get your highest converting traffic. You're going to get that from the long tail shop or ready to buy phrases, but that also provides the least amount of traffic. So it really is all about going, what's the purpose of the page? Where does it best fit on my site? Is it an internal page? Is it a library page? Is it a blog page? And everything has to be assessed independently.
Okay. No, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I know one of the things you said as well too is website page, speed, website loading pages or speed, I guess. And, I guess that's one of the harder things for business owners to address, because a lot of it's back end on why your website seems to be slowing down, and a lot of people can't figure out why. What are some of the things that you see business owners maybe adding to their website or doing too much of that's really dropping that speed and affecting their conversions and their views?
Yeah, well, one of the main culprits is the web hosting. Usually people go, well, I'm going to get the cheap web hosting because that's what I can afford. Small businesses especially. That could be problematic, that you're just not getting good speed out of that. You need to upgrade to a better performing web host. Having done that, there's a lot of little things that you can do. If you're using WordPress, a lot of times you start adding plugins, and those plugins start bogging the site down because they're adding a lot of code, adding a lot of excess stuff. So you want to minimize how many plugins you're using. You want to streamline your images, shrink those down to the smallest bite size that you can while maintaining the highest quality that you can. And then it gets into some of the coding, and trying to combine JavaScript code documents and CSS documents and all of that. Get all that combined as much as possible so you're not doing as many server calls from the web page to the server and pulling those documents in. So it's a lot of technical stuff, and that honestly is not my area where I say, hey, web developer, I know what needs to be done. Speed up the site. I need you to do that. There's some great tools online. Google has some tools that'll pretty much tell you what they need to do. So then you just pass that to the developer and say, use this tool, get my site to go fast.
Yeah. And I know one thing, I believe I read an article from, maybe saying Amazon or something like that, that every millisecond your speed or your page takes to load, it drops off like 10 or 20% of your people or something ridiculous like that. I'm not sure if those are the exact numbers, but it's staggering to think of how quick people will leave your site if it's not loading, properly.
Yeah, and sometimes it's on their end. They might have a slow connection or spotty connection, whatever, and that's all the more reason why you've got to make yours as fast as possible. So even if you're dealing with somebody who has a bad speed on their end, your site will be able to work through that.
Absolutely. So, okay. Well, let me ask you this: what are some of the things you're doing right now for your clients or business, or for your business in general, that's giving you a lot of, I guess, return on your marketing, or, just maybe Facebook ads, or, is there any specific thing that you're doing right now that you're just like, wow, this is, really good, or this is doing really well for me?
We're always trying to do as much as we can. And one of the problems as a digital marketing agency is we're often doing things for our clients that we're not doing for ourselves. And then, we've got clients that we've been working on for 10 years, and every once in a while we go, hey, we need to revisit some of these things that we've done, especially optimized pages, and make sure it still makes sense with, the changing landscape. But one of the things that I do like to do on a regular basis is go back into the website on a page-by-page basis and look at the page and revisit what's the intent. What are we trying to achieve? What do we want the visitor to do? And does it solve those problems? Check the messaging, calls to action, all of those things and make sure that they're in order. And then you go, okay, let's go to the next page. Is this doing what it's intended to do? Is it giving the visitors the information they need? Is it helping them go through the conversion process? Or is it a dead end somewhere? Or is the messaging not quite right? And you can get a lot of traction by doing that, because, you know, we just realized even on our own site, we were missing a lot of calls to action. And, you know, we built our website and we're like, well, it's not going to be perfect. Let's get it out there and then we'll just tweak it as we go. And it's been almost a year now, and we're looking at some pages going, oh, wait, we don't have any calls to action here. You know, nothing obvious, nothing that's standing out. And so, like, let's get that on there. You know, and it's amazing what you can miss, even knowing everything that we know, because you just get in this place of, we got to get this done, and you skip steps, or you think we'll revisit that, which, you know, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. So it's good to take time and go back and just go, I'm going to go over this with a fine-tooth comb, one page at a time, you know, even if it takes a year to do that, and then make sure the page does what it needs to do, both contextually, visually, all of that, and get all the elements working together right.
No, absolutely. You make a great point there, is you got to come back and revisit it. And I think, you know, one of the big things that, you know, some business owners have issues with is they get on this autopilot. You know, they hire a marketing company 10 years ago that have been using the same tactics for 10 years. They never double check them. You know, things like that. They're just not keeping things up to date. They're not revisiting their pages. And, you know, the further we go in time, the more that's going to hurt you. So that's definitely, you know, a big thing that, you know, a big point for the business owners out there. And it's, you know, honestly, our company, we're redoing our website right now as well, too, just because we want a new look. We want some more call to actions. You know, we're actually running into the problem with you is we think we're not, you know, we want to get in our ABC kind of, you know, mindset with our website a little bit more than it is. So as you said, it's definitely something that people need to revisit it. Yeah. And I think it's something that business owners almost forget to do, or maybe it's, you know, I'm a landscape owner, I don't understand a website, so I don't check it. And, you know, that's the biggest mistake.
Well, and something also to keep in mind is website owners, when they're not involved in this, they oftentimes will look at that, you know, if the SEO is revisiting things, they're going to go, well, why didn't you do that the first time? Or why didn't you do that before? And, you know, I've had a client that whenever we went back and revisited something, it's like it was 3-alarm fire. Oh, we got to pull the plug if this isn't right. We got to, you know, and it's like, no. This is just part of the process. We revisit, make sure, you know, we didn't miss anything. In this case, we found something. Technology's changed. People change on how they interact with websites. You go back, you go, okay, we should be doing this now. And maybe that wasn't even an option before. So as business owners, you got to not be fearful of going back and revisiting and finding things, because it's better to find them whenever you find them rather than go, well, gee, we should have had that a long time ago. You can't catch everything. You can't get everything perfect ever at any point in time. You just got to be in that state of improving. And as soon as you see something that can be improved, do it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And one thing I always tell business owners is it's not the strongest or the, you know, ones that have been around the longest that survive. It's the most adaptable. So, you know, if you're not adapting to the way people, you know, the buying changes of the customers nowadays, because people are buying differently today than they were a year ago, you know, than they were definitely 5 years ago. You know, video is a big thing right now, where a year ago video was, you know, just starting to get out. You know, besides YouTube, that's the only place you could really do video, maybe even a year ago. So, you know, it's definitely, you know, like you said, as a business owner, you have to be okay with revisiting that and understanding that technology changes, buying, you know, I guess buying, you know, cycles change, and your customers are changing. Awesome. So, you know, one of the big things I see business owners, or at least I think they're not taking advantage of, is video. I mean, are you a big proponent to video right now in the digital marketing realm? I mean, what's your feelings about video?
We are looking for opportunities to have our clients do more video, and some of them have taken that ball and run with it, and other ones are just, they don't have the resources. And it's an additional resource that you have to use. Now, I don't think that video is going to end up doing away with text. And I saw somewhere that, you know, Zuckerberg at Facebook said, you know, we're going to be a video platform, and that's how people are going to be communicating in the future. You know, I think video is going to reach a point where people are like, okay, I'm tired of clicking play and watching something when I could have read that, in far less time. But it'll be important for not getting the same information out, but getting a different type of information out that you can't do with text, using visuals and things like that. So I think it'll be important, but it doesn't take away from anything else. It's just a way to add to, and business owners have to figure out a way, what is it that people do need videos for? And there's lots of reasons why people need videos, showing off products, how-tos, things like that, and they love that. So you just got to look at that opportunity and not go, well, let's take this and turn it into a video. That may not cut it. You just got to go, we need to figure out what people need to see and how that video is going to work to give them something new.
Absolutely. Now, I know also, you're big on site architecture and taking people through the right navigations. I mean, I know one big thing that works with us is, email marketing. And one thing I think a lot of people miss on is you don't see many companies actually capturing emails. You don't see many, call to actions on join our email list or anything like that. I mean, let me ask you, what do you think about email marketing? Is that something that you implement when you build a new website or you come into a new business? Or how do you feel about email marketing?
Yeah, email marketing seems to come and go. And I think everything online does, where it reaches this tipping point and then it kind of dies away a little bit, but then it starts coming back because people improve the technologies, improve what they're doing. And this usually happens as people start spamming something, it gets tired. Pop-ups, they got spammed to death, they went away, now they're coming back. So email marketing, I think, is one of those things. It is very important. It is a good way to get people to stay in communication with people, to continue that engagement that you started online or on the website or whatever else, in a way that people are saying, hey, I want to engage with you. I want to get updated. I want you to send me something. So it provides a great opportunity that you really can't get in many other channels. So you do want to have that opportunity to capture people's email addresses for them to opt in to your newsletter. You just got to make sure you don't abuse it, and that you're not spamming them, with too much stuff. You got to look at your the unsubscribe rates and see if you're getting too many unsubscribes, then you're probably sending out too many emails. So you want to find that balance where people are engaging with it and not forgetting about that, oh yeah, I signed up for that, but they're not getting tired of all these emails coming in.
Absolutely. Now I know one thing that, scares a lot of business owners out there and stops them from getting into digital marketing is just they don't know how to do it. They don't know, should I be on Google AdWords? Should I be on Facebook ads? Should I be on YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, Pinterest? Where should I be? So then I think what happens is they don't know where their audience is, maybe they don't know where to go, and then they just kind of say, forget it. We'll stick to the traditional marketing, the television, radio, mailers that we know that we've been doing for 20 years. And, we just won't take any time to understand or learn where we need to be. Have you found that to be an issue with some of your business owners? And if so, how do you advise them to, fix that or get to the platform they need to, or get past that hump of, staying in the past a little bit?
Yeah. Well, I think part of the problem with digital marketing is it's still very DIY, where people think, well, I can do this myself. And to a degree they can. You can get in and learn how to optimize a page. You can learn how to, get involved on your social media networks and start doing those things. But it is also very time consuming. It can bog people down a great deal. And like you said, because they don't know what to do, they don't know where their audience is, they don't know what is or isn't going to work. And then they throw up their hands. And, I would say, in the same way that you would hire a production company to create your TV commercial or your radio advertisement or even your printed materials, you need to hire an agency to do your digital marketing. And there's nothing wrong with doing it yourself if you got the time and the opportunity to learn everything that you need to learn. But most people don't. And even within our agency, we have strategists who are skilled in only one particular area. We don't have somebody who's going to do your SEO and your PPC and your social media, because there's just too much information that they need to know in order to do all of those things. And it's changing constantly. Whereas if they focus in on, you're the SEO, focus on that. You're the social media strategist, focus in on that. Then they become experts in that field. And it's very difficult to do everything yourself, especially if you're a business owner, or you only have one person that's dedicated to doing the in-house digital marketing. There's just so much information out there, so much to know to do it right. And even if you are going to implement it, it's good to have an agency who can help provide direction, strategic guidance, help you develop your strategies. And then, sure, they can turn that over to the in-house person. But you really want somebody that's guiding you through that process.
No, that's a great point. And, my company, we work with a lot of RV dealerships, and, some of the RV dealerships I'll speak with, they, will tell me, hey, we have, we hired in a social media, digital marketing expert for that very thing. And, we got one person that's handling the graphics, the social media, the this, the that for, we have 4 dealerships, and they're doing it for all 4 dealerships.
Right.
And to me, it's like, man, there's no way that person can do that, because I don't care if they're Superman or not. It's just way too much information, just like you said. And that's, same with our company, is we have people very specific, doing SEO, doing social media, doing ads, so that they can be experts in that field. Right. And I think that's what a lot of business owners don't understand, is agencies like mine and like yours. We have people in place that when you bring an agency on, you're not getting one expert that maybe doesn't know anything about all of it. The jack of all trades digital marketer. Right. We're giving you expertise from a person that knows SEO, a person that knows AdWords, a person that knows this. So it's a lot more effective for a business owner. And sometimes a bad hire in that area can kill a business. And I think a lot of business owners are defaulting to hiring in-house and finding out that the people they hire don't really know what they're doing either.
Yeah. Well, and one thing I do often tell my clients is what we do for them works best when we have somebody inside the company that is our primary liaison, that is making sure that, hey, they're approving the keywords, the content, approving the ads, helping us with the implementation on the social, doing the engagement that we can't do because we don't know their product or service quite like they do. So you need somebody on the inside almost. And a lot of times, they think, well, if I got this person on the inside, they're going to be able to do it. Say, well, no, you need a team of people, maybe only one person on the inside, though, that's actually fulfilling the obligations that the team on the outside is putting together for you. So it's interesting that you still need to have that person inside, or it's very helpful, but you get much more value if you've got a team behind that person supporting them.
Absolutely. So now, I know you said, one of the things that you like to do consistently just to make sure your website, your clients' websites are up to date, is to always go back, recheck the pages, recheck the intent, their website relevant, to make sure they're talking to the right audience.
Every couple of years, at least, especially if you are developing a new website and putting out new content and shifting things around, then you want to go through that process. And even if you're not, you just want to go back and go, are these keywords still relevant? We optimize these keywords for this page. Are they still relevant? Because search patterns change. We've seen keywords that were hugely searched, it just kind of tank over a period of 3, 4, 5 years, and different keywords started rising to prominence. So you want to take a look at that and make sure that you're still targeting the most relevant keywords along with all of that. So, you should always be in a stage of doing that in one form or another. It's like, hey, we're doing all this over here. Well, I'm going to take a page a week or a page a day and review it. So you don't have to go back and say, well, we should be doing this on this schedule or whatever. Just kind of always be doing that if possible. But other than that, every 2 or 3 years.
Cool. Now, should companies be adding pages to their website regularly, looking for new keywords or searching for new audiences and things like that? I mean, is that something that business owners should or should not be doing, or how do you feel about that?
Well, you don't add content, just add content. And this is where it comes back to the navigation. One of the first things that we do with a new client is we do the broad keyword research, looking for all of the core terms and go, okay, this is what you should base your navigation off of. And 9 times out of 10, we end up adding pages to the site just to meet the demand of what people are searching for that they don't have a page specifically for that warrants its own page. Get that taken care of, and then you go, okay, now what? Well, that's where it moves over to the blog usually, where you start answering questions and finding, producing content that's what people are searching for that maybe isn't exactly going to lead to a sale, but it's providing them valuable information and therefore branding yourself to an audience that at some point may come back and say, hey, I want your product or I want your services. So yes, on the blog, always be adding content that you have not hit on before, or that is going to take or value to your audience, for your audience. On the main site, only add content if it makes sense to go, I need to add a page here. I don't have a page that explains X, Y, or Z. Then you add a page for that if it's relevant. But otherwise, most things, either create a library on your site for certain types of information, evergreen information. You can use the blog for, articles and helps and how-tos, things like that.
Cool. Now, is there any certain tools, keyword planners, things like that you use to make this process a little easier for you when you're looking for different keywords and things like that to, structure your architecture or, whatever the case is?
We use the typical keyword research tools, Moz, Google AdWords. Those are great tools. I tend to export everything, put it into a spreadsheet of my own that I use, that I can then start organizing on. This is a research phrase. This is a phrase, a shop phrase, a buy phrase, an information phrase. Organize it all that, and then I can start filtering things and then grouping by similarity of intent as far as, hey, if they're looking for discount, well, what other words mean the same thing? Sale, closeout, you can go, okay, I'm going to group all of those words together for that particular product, and then we can create a page on that. So, a lot of keyword research is just using your head and going, how do these keywords fit together? Let's kind of separate them into buckets that are very tightly related in terms of intent and desire. Absolutely.
So, and one thing that I've read an article on, recently is keyword search intent, kind of like you've said it multiple different times, throughout this whole interview is, the intent of someone searching. And what it said in there was, someone searching for purple marker, has a complete different intent than someone searching for buy a purple marker or, multiple other things that you can kind of use. So I think that's one huge thing that you keep mentioning is that intent of why your customer is landing on that page and making sure that you're speaking to that why, as opposed to just kind of speaking in the air when, hey, I landed on here for, purple marker information, but it's nothing about yellow markers. Why am I here? And
right.
That's kind of what people don't want to see.
Yeah, and sometimes, the intent of the keyword isn't always what we think it is. Sometimes changing the word order will change the intent. And sometimes it's just where you are mentally. A great example I use in presentations is I went into an Office Max once and I was looking for a cordless telephone headset. Now, to me, a cordless telephone headset was a headset without a cord. But when I asked the guy at Office Max, he took me to headsets for cordless telephones. So we had two different intents. It was the exact same phrase, cordless telephone headset, but it meant two different things. And so you've got to look, and this is where Google can be very helpful. You type in the keyword into Google, and you see what the results are. If it matches what you thought it was, then that's what you go with. If it's different than what you thought it was, well, don't fight Google. Figure out going, okay, that's what that means. That's how I'm going to use that.
Absolutely. So, just a little small A/B testing with, keywords, the way you phrase things could probably make a huge difference in the functionality, maybe the ROI on a page and the conversions of a page just by going back, looking it over, making sure our intent is right, and making sure that architecture is correct. And I'm going to guess that's why you're such a big proponent on it, because it's a huge thing that I think a lot of business owners miss and a lot of even marketing companies miss, is, I mean, you'll see a lot of marketing companies out there that build websites and it seems like there's no intent, there's no direction, stuff like that. So it's definitely one of those, I guess, kind of more ninja tricks that, you know, people aren't really even paying attention to, and that can really separate you in the long run.
Well, and you kind of hit on it there, is a lot of web developers, they don't approach web development from a marketing perspective. They approach it from, what do you want? And we'll give it to you and we'll make it look good. And they might address some of the usability issues, but they don't often hit on, you know, let's make sure that the content is hitting that intent. Let's make sure the page is hitting that intent. Let's make sure there's that flow going through. And, you know, anybody who is going through a website redevelopment, I would highly encourage them to get an SEO on board. Get somebody outside of the web development firm, unless they also do web marketing. Get them on board to help with mapping out the navigation before you even start developing the site. Put together wireframes, and then you can start building out the design and the coding from there. Get them back involved to look at the code, make sure it's search engine friendly, make sure everything, all the elements on page elements are being coded properly. And these are things that a lot of developers just don't think about. So you got to get that somebody on board who is mindful of that and a part of that process.
Absolutely, because you don't want a pretty looking website that nobody sees, nobody looks at, and nobody's ever visiting, right? So that, you know, that's definitely a good point there, is, you know, make sure you have someone that's overseeing it. If you don't know how to oversee it yourself, pay someone some money, because it's going to be worth its weight in gold in the long run. So that's definitely some great information. I mean, let me ask you this, Tony. There's a lot of business owners out there that are on the fence, you know, as I've said, with digital marketing, or that are trying to find their way into digital marketing and want to, you know, get more customers or increase their revenue. You know, what is something that you might leave them with on, you know, if they're not doing it, how to get into it, or if they are doing it but they're lost? You know, could you provide them with maybe a little bit of direction on, you know, what they should do or could do to, you know, start bringing their business into the digital age?
Yeah, well, and not to sound like a commercial, but my book is a good place to start. The Best Damn Web Marketing Checklist is designed to help people just kind of walk through step by step through the digital marketing process. There is virtually nothing in there that is how to do something, because the how to online changes almost every day. So the what to do, though, however, stays pretty consistent year over year. We just released an updated version of it. We didn't have to change too much, but we added some chapters and things like that. But it's good for all levels, even management levels who go, I don't understand this stuff. It gives you a talking point to talk to your marketing team or your development team and say, are we doing these things? Can we go through this process and whatnot? And really, when it comes to digital marketing, it does come down to having a process, knowing what to look for. Too deep, just, you know, worry about, this is what I can do today, do that today, then worry about tomorrow.
Absolutely. So I know you can get the Best Damn Marketing Checklist period on Amazon. You can get it from your website there as well. So for some of the viewers out there that, you know, want to have you look at their architecture, their pages, and use some of your expertise to fix some of that, you know, how do they get a hold of you? How do they reach out to you? And you know, how do they start working with you?
Yeah, you can go to the website, which is polepositionmarketing.com, and that's POLE, positionmarketing.com. That'll kind of give you the breadth of our information. If you want to email me directly, you can. It's stoney@polepositionmarketing.com. That'll come to me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions, point you in the right direction. But we don't just offer managed web marketing. We can also do website audits and consulting by the hour based on your budget.
Absolutely. So, well, hey, Stoney, I've learned a lot from you today. I know the business owners out there are going to learn a lot from just this 40-minute talk here. So we thank you for being a part of it. You know, nonetheless, everybody out there, make sure you go to Amazon and you get the Best Damn Marketing Checklist period, because it's going to be a great place to start on getting your business into the digital age. And it'll give you an actionable guide that you can come back to and reference to, that you can come back to and you know, constantly use to update your digital marketing, update your website, things like that. So again, Stoney, thank you for your time. We appreciate you. We appreciate you viewers out there on the Pivoting Digital community. and we'll see you guys on the next one.
Thanks.
Boom! You just heard some explosive information from Stoney. Also, make sure you go get his Best Damn Marketing Checklist period for some more great content on using digital marketing in today's day and age. The next speaker you're going to hear from is Cristina Sanders. Let's see what she has to say. Right now, we're going to speak with Cristina Sanders. She's the CEO of Next Play LLC. She's going to share some of her digital marketing knowledge with us and help some of you business owners pivot your business into the digital age. So thank you for being with us, Cristina.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
You got it. So let's jump right in. You know, one of the first things I like to start out with is, you know, when you're working with a new client, a business owner, a dealership, or, you know, any of the many people that you work with, what is one of the first things that you do to address their digital marketing, to kind of bring it into the digital age, and how do you help them do that?
So like one of the first things that I like to look at is basically how they're kind of engaging with their clients online. And that's not always via the lead process, but also via social media. How does their web presence look? Because one of the big things that I notice people don't really pay attention to is how many people actually visit their website and how many people actually stay. So like we take a deep dive into Google Analytics to really kind of see exactly how people are engaging with their online tools that they already have, and then how those tools look and feel, you know, when a user is actually going to them. Because, they already have, we and already know how those tools look and feel, you know, when a user is actually going to them. They already have, we already know and how those tools, and they're only going to visit 1.2. So at that point, your web presence has to be in tip-top shape, from the way that it feels like when you actually go to the website. Are all the cars pictured? Are everything that your services that you're trying to convey, does it feel like that? Does it look top-notch? Does it look credible? Does everything work? Does your social media presence convey exactly what you're doing? Are you all over the place? So that's really kind of the first thing that we kind of look at is what's touching the customer.
Absolutely. And, you know, one of the things I've noticed with my dealerships that I work with is, you know, they'll give a lot of information on their website, but they never have any call to actions or any way to, you know, kind of capture their customers' information, name, email, phone number, you know, whatever it may be. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes they're making. I mean, what do you think about that?
I 100% agree. People come to car dealerships' websites after they visit the national website to basically, number one, confirm price, confirm availability, and to confirm everything that the national brand already has said. The trust is already built with the national brand already. So at the dealership level, not so much. So that's why dealerships have to make sure that everything that they're doing is super transparent. In their web presence starting, like, is the price on the car? A customer shouldn't have to continually try to get to what the price of the car is. You need to make that pretty visible, you know, whether you're, and then you also need to use words that kind of convey that that it's a transparent price, like hassle-free, you know, bottom line. All those types of things help a customer say, okay, I'm not going to come in and this isn't the price that we're starting with. And then because that's always been kind of the thing with dealerships, right? It's like there's the internet price, then there's the on the lot price, and then there's this price and that price, and it's just, it becomes a whirlwind, and people are like, okay, so what am I paying for exactly, and what's my monthly thing, you know? And I think dealerships kind of need to make sure that they're staying transparent with that, with a clear call to action. Okay, so what is this leading to, right? Like, so if I give you my email and my phone number, you're calling me back on this vehicle. Don't call me about service. Don't call me about random things, you know? So, and then they're making sure that their salespeople are on that same track as far as what's being said on the internet, what's being conveyed in the ad. when a client comes in or calls you on the phone or engages with you, it does that, does the email response or the text response, the video response actually, you know, say what you said on the website? You know, if a customer comes in on Infinity, like Q50 or something, don't write them back about a Q70 and a price that's $200 more. And that helps build that kind of trust and that relationship with a client.
Absolutely. I mean, those are definitely some valid points. And it's something that I think a lot of dealerships are missing out on. You know, I think they get in the habit of just throwing up a couple pictures, and then, you know, if they think that's a good, you know, good enough to, you know, bring in the customers, kind of build it, and they will come. To switch a little bit, or go ahead, what were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Right, and as far as the pictures are concerned, I think that they need to kind of bring it to 2017 in the sense of that. Okay, video, like you look at YouTube on how it is probably the most engaged social media site on the planet. People love videos. People love pictures of things. Now, pictures, I feel like customers sometimes they see them, but unless you're actually taking candid pictures of the car itself, not stock photos, people don't trust those either. So the videos are best because you can actually see the vehicle that you're interested in, and you can see, just say if it's a used car, you can see that, all right, it may have a little dent on the door, but can I deal with that? Like, you know, and a customer is willing to work with you because they understand that it's a used car, but as long as you kind of keep it transparent as far as giving them as much information ahead of time as possible. And then when that lead comes in as well, follow up with the video. Even if the video is on the website, send them another video, send them a personal video, and you'll kind of see your sales go up.
Yeah, I think, you know, and you hit the nail on the head there with video. I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of dealerships are missing out on. And it's so easy to shoot a video anymore. You pull your cell phone out, boom, you got a video. You can shoot a text video and send a text video to a customer of an exact vehicle that they're looking out. And, you know, it's just salespeople that aren't doing this. And, you know, you make another great point about how people like to come and they like to see the actual vehicle that they're going to come take a look at. You know, time and time again, you hear people looking at cars, talking to salespeople. Oh, I looked at your pictures and then I got to the dealership and it's not, you forgot about this big dent on the side of the door, the scratches in the pictures, the interior looks, you know, completely different. And, you know, that just right there, you just lost all the trust from that customer. And with today's digital age, I think, you know, trust is one of the things that you need to be transparent, like you said, with your videos, show them exactly what they're going to look at and get when they get to the dealership. Because when they see that and they get to the dealership, now they're like, okay, these are people that I can trust because they aren't the dealership that put up the, you know, 10 pictures, excluded the 5, and, you know, all that good stuff.
Right, exactly. And then the features as well is super important. So there are all types of tools that allow you to key in the VIN number, and then it'll tell you exactly how that used car came in as far as what it was originally configured with. So make sure that you know all that and make sure that that's conveyed on the website as well, because, you know, used cars are kind of odd in the sense of that it's not that you're taking on somebody else's old problem, but you're sort of taking on somebody else's old problem, you know? So it's like a customer wants to feel comfortable about spending whatever sum of money, whether it's $10,000, $50,000, $80,000, they need to feel comfortable making a decision to purchase with you. So as much information as that you can give them. So if you have the features on the website, make sure in your video that you send via your cell phone that you're actually pointing out, okay, so it has adaptive steering, it has heated steering wheel, and turn it on for them, you know, and the less candid on the initial reach out, the better. You don't need a production crew for that. So
absolutely. I always tell my salespeople that take your cell phone, walk it out, show your face, and then just kind of make it look like it's not unedited. People don't want to see edited film. They want to see raw footage, what it is. That's kind of the world we're living in right now, where people don't want you to take out the mistakes. They want to see them and know that you're a real person.
Exactly.
So beautiful. Let me switch gears here a little bit. I mean, social media is one thing that I think a lot of dealerships still struggle with. You know, I constantly see, you know, car dealers out there that are posting things that get no engagement or just don't really use social media to its fullest, I guess, kind of potential. You know, what are some of the things that you do to come into a dealership, help them with social media, and what are some of the ways you coach them on how to get better with their social media at a dealership?
Right. So basically, one of the big things that I like to focus on when I work with the dealership is the blend between what you're doing on a product level, in the sense of what the national level is doing as far as professionalism, and then also a local feel to it, right? So like, people only follow car dealerships because they want to see cars. They don't really care about, you know, all the little random, you know, prices and salesy things. Even though that's important to you, you got to get them excited about the car. And that's what social media is about. Social media is one of the first touch points in the buying cycle. So it's like, you need to get them excited about wanting to engage with you. So perfect example, when I was working with BMW, what I would do is I would take a new model out, and I would take it places around Cleveland that are iconic, and take really great pictures of them. So you might go down to the Flats, or you might go down to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and you're seeing yourself, because people are going these places that are purchasing the car on a local level. So if you can imagine yourself getting out of your 5 Series, you know, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or at Playhouse Square, or on West 6, at that point, you're starting to see yourself in the vehicle, right? And then it's still professional touch. Like, I do see a lot of car dealerships, unfortunately, make the decision of kind of making the stuff look a little amateur online, and the pictures aren't as clear, or it's just a pure product demonstration. And that doesn't really resonate with clients. Another thing that YouTube strategy is really great, because YouTube can help you raise your SEO as far as for your website is concerned, and then it actually brings social cues back to your website. So what you might want to do is, on your YouTube channel, instead of saying, okay, well, we just got this new Q50 in, maybe go through what the like, if you need to change the date, right? So we all deal with the pull your clock back or whatever. So demonstrate how to do that. How-to videos for your car and features, because the technology in cars are just unbelievable nowadays. BMW 5 Series, there's this feature that allows you to turn up the volume and control everything in the air by, like, using your finger like this. So demonstrate that, like, via videos, and you get 1 minute on Instagram, you get 1 minute on Twitter, you get unlimited times on YouTube and Facebook, and that allows you to really kind of engage with a client without being salesy. Like, hey, every now and again, you might want to say, hey, you know, we're having a sale or whatever at, you know, Subaru. But for the most part, it's really about showing the client how to use your product. And then also showcasing your salespeople as well. Showcasing how happy clients are. You know, what is the buying experience when they leave your dealership, right? So when I was at Infinity, we had this thing that when you bought a car, you unveiled it, and then and everybody would come out in the dealership and clap. So at that point, we would film that, because that gets people excited. So I want to go purchase a car, right? And then they're gonna clap for me and put it on Facebook. Like, people like that kind of stuff, and so it's kind of blending the professionalism, like, that you'll see on the national level with the local level.
That I mean, I love that point, honestly, because that makes. And, you know, kind of, if you look at the national level and then you blend yours in, you almost kind of have that feel like you're kind of on the national level as well. You know, when people come to your Facebook, or, you know, come to your social media, and they kind of feel like you're a little bit bigger of a dealership, like, hey, these guys are awesome. And, you know, you hit the nail on the head again with that engagement. You know, that's the biggest thing is, you know, I see too many stale posts from dealerships. You know, they have no engagement. It's the same picture of, hey, Jimmy and John just bought a car, and there's 40 of those in a row. You know, there's nothing in between. And it's just like, you know, have fun. You know, get these people to engage with you, because, you know, I've said this before, is Facebook is at a point where they're telling people that they're going to show 0 of your fans your posts if they don't engage with it. So if you have 100,000 people on your Facebook page, it's not going to matter in a couple of years, because if people don't engage with you, they're never going to see it.
Right. And you got to look at your audience too. So you need to pay attention to, you know, there are a couple tools that you can kind of use, like, so that you can kind of measure the engagement that you're getting. And then and just like flat out go through your posts. Like, if you see something that's getting, just say 50 likes, and then you'll see something else that gets 3 likes, then you know that your audience likes that better. And it doesn't really matter. And I think that people and dealerships need to kind of take themselves out of it when they're speaking for a brand, because what you like isn't necessarily what your audience likes. So you need to make sure that, okay, so if my audience likes to see pretty pictures of cars in places around Cleveland, and then they don't like to see just say customers who just purchased a car, then don't post that. Like, or don't post it as much. And you know, and just being kind of open to finding the right voice for that. And then also another big thing that I do is I engage with other dealerships online. So sometimes you know, I might engage with an Infinity dealership that's like, you know, in Detroit or something, and make it fun, and people start seeing that and they enjoy it. You engage with the Mercedes-Benz store, challenge them, and participate in little social media challenges and stuff like that, and challenge other dealerships. Because first off, when people think about a dealership, just like they think about real estate or anything else that's financial, people get defensive, right? They're already thinking like, you're going to take my money, and like, I don't hear anything from you, and you're a liar, and you're this, but you know what I mean? They just come on guard, talk to my husband, he's the car negotiator. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah.
You know, but when you have a great online presence that's actually engaging and fun and human, then people are like, okay, I'm dealing with another human being. I don't, and it makes your salespeople's job less hard. So it's like they can sell the value of the car and not try to say, buy the car, and then you're constantly cutting gross and cutting gross and cutting gross, because there's no value built in the dealership. There's no trust built online. Like, it's just a disaster, and you just need to move a car. So like, you're willing to, you know, do what you have to do.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, you know, that comes back to the used car salesman kind of stereotype. And, you know, it's funny because a lot of dealerships, I feel like, still have that same mentality when you actually get into the bones of the dealership and, you know, maybe some of the management and things like that. And, you know, I think that's where some of that staleness on social media comes from, because it's still, you know, even though there's a lot of dealerships that are out there that are doing it well and that are kind of moving, you know, forward with it, there's still a lot of them that are kind of stuck in the past and are still using those like outdated sales tactics, outdated digital marketing tactics, or not even using digital marketing at all.
Right. And then another thing is when it comes down to millennials, right? We understand that I'm a millennial, I'm 25, you're a millennial. You know, we want to make sure that we feel good about spending our money. Like a luxury vehicle, and you know, I talk about luxury a lot because that's where my experience has been, but like a luxury vehicle is a need, not a want. And people need to understand that. Then people want to feel good about that purchase, right? So when I know tons of dealerships who support random things, you know, all types of causes. So make sure that you're communicating that you're actually supporting that cause on social media as well, because you never know how that might resonate with a client. Like if you know, you support the Heart Association, make sure that you're conveying it in a professional way, not just posting the Heart Association's logo and then moving on for the day. Like right. Social media, set and repeat. Like you need to take a little bit of time to think about it. And then if, you know, I don't try to, you know, get people to work on Sundays, but like if you can spend some time kind of thinking about 2 or 3 days ahead, what you want to talk about this week with your audience, what's coming up, then your post will come out a lot better because it's not reactive.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a good point. You know, I was just actually talking to Dennis Brown on some LinkedIn, and he said one of the things is, you know, people kind of just post to post. They have no direction. You know what I mean? They have no thought process behind their post. They just kind of, hey, I'm going to throw up a post today. And they think that that's cool. You know, you should have some kind of strategy. Hey, we're going to post 5 times a day about, you know, whatever your strategy is, come up with something and do it consistently.
Right. And especially when it comes down to cars, you don't need to be on every platform either, you know. So you kind of need to understand exactly what each platform is used for. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. If you want to do Pinterest, feel free. But like if you want to use Pinterest, like you might want to kind of use it as a discovery. Like how are people utilizing their cars, right? Like the trunk of their car can be a thing, right? So like how many things can I fit in the back of my Mercedes or whatever, and then make it creative. So like utilize Pinterest like that, like utilizing Instagram as a picturesque thing, and then utilizing Instagram too, that when you're at events or something, that let maybe clients do a takeover or something like that, utilizing testimonials via your Instagram page, like letting clients kind of use your Instagram for a day and say, hey, look, this is how I use my Mercedes-Benz. You know what I mean? And just, you know, just make it human and make it relevant. You can't just be online just to be online. Like that just doesn't fly. It's 1997.
Absolutely. One of the other things, you know, I think that dealerships are possibly missing out on too is, you know, Google reviews, Facebook reviews. You know, you have a lot of people that come into your dealership and have good experiences, and then salespeople never ask to, hey, go review me right now on Google, on Facebook. And it's something I think they're, you know, missing out on a lot. You know, what do you think about that?
I agree with that. And I also believe in like checking in too, that a lot of, people are missing. So another thing that they can maybe do if you don't want to just ask for a review is that you can kind of put up some signage to encourage check-ins, right? So just say you get, you get something random for checking in when you're there. So like little signage in the dealership that encourages you to engage with them online and to check in. And then after that, Facebook will also prompt them the following day to rate their experience there. And at that point, you know, you don't necessarily have to ask about it or like chase people around, or like I said, because people get so defensive about dealerships in general. So like the less asking that you do, the better, in my personal opinion. So like having opportunities for people to engage with a specific hashtag, or, you know, BMW 17 or whatever, like new whip who this or something, like it's like, it's funny and it's engaging, but people want to do it. So like maybe some signage around there encourage some check-ins.
No, that's a great point. And, you know, it's definitely when you see people, and I've read studies saying that online reviews, people seeing other people at the dealership at things like this, they believe the online reviews and these things just as much as they do their best friend, uncle, brother, mother, cousin. So
absolutely. Absolutely. Because I travel a lot, and you know, and I will admit that if I see poor restaurant reviews or any type of review on something that I'm trying for the first time, that I'm not going to it. So dealerships definitely need to be cognizant of it. And like I said, as much signage in your dealership as possible that encourages that. And then also kind of telling salespeople, like you said, hey, like, review me or whatever, give them a little card and stuff that kind of says, hey, go review me, go follow me on Facebook. People appreciate that, and then it also builds goodwill for you on the internet.
And we always tell, you know, we tell our dealerships, you know, hey, you know, for an honest review, give them $25 to your service department. Give them $25 off of parts. You know, give them something for being, you know, you don't want to put, you know, have a good review, because then, you know, people will blast you online for, like, you know, asking for good reviews. But if you just say, hey, you know, give me an honest review, we'll give you $25, good or bad, regardless. Give us an honest review. Most of the time it's going to be good, because you wouldn't tell that to an irate customer, first off. You know, you're going to tell this to the customers that you know had a good experience. And then, boom, they get, you know, maybe $20 off an oil change. You got a good rating on Facebook, Google, on whatever. And it's, you know, it's good for everybody. So
exactly. And then as far as bad reviews are concerned too, because you're going to get them. Everybody gets a bad review. Like, I've had a bad review. Like, everybody's had them in their life, because unless you're just perfect, which a lot of us aren't, you're going to have them. And what you want to do is you want to publicly respond to those, good or bad. So you always want to publicly respond to them, preferably, in my personal opinion, within 15 or 10 minutes, and then acknowledge them by name and say, hey, you know, look, I'm really sorry that you had that experience. What I'm going to do is personally reach out to you so that we can get it sorted out. And then after you get it sorted out, make sure that you respond to them again and say, hey, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer, it was so great speaking with you today. Hey, I hope that we got it sorted out, blah, 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 blah. So, like, people can kind of see that, all right, even if they make a mistake, they're going out of their way to correct it. And people appreciate that. And I feel like it keeps revenue high within the dealership as well, because the moment that you reach out to an angry client, the sooner that you reach out to them, that your percentage of retaining them goes way back up, because people get emotional. They're going to do it, but they're not always going to leave you behind it.
Absolutely. Now, let's switch a little bit off posting, things like that. Facebook ads, I think that's something that dealerships don't take, advantage of right now. And I know it's definitely a pretty inexpensive way to push traffic back to websites. And actually, you can target, exact customers on there. Have you had any luck with Facebook ads with your dealerships? And then what do you think about running those?
We had great luck with Facebook ads, and Facebook ads are great because they've gotten so much more sophisticated, right? You can actually take people's direct contact information directly from the Facebook ad, which is wonderful. Or you can kind of be a little bit more passive and send them to your website and then kind of see how the leads go up from there. But they're great because they are unintrusive in the sense of that since they're behavior targeted, and that a person is looking for a car. So you're not just kind of throwing stuff at the wall and hoping that it sticks. And once again, like I said, getting a bad name for the dealership by being pushy or anything. Like, you're actually working with people. You're serving your ads up directly to people who are looking for your car specifically, and they need to know what you have available. And then on top of that, they need to be reminded of what they went to your website for. So Facebook ads are tremendous, and it's a great tool, and it's super inexpensive to use. I know that in marketing, I've spent thousands of dollars on radio and not seen the response that I've seen on an $800 Facebook ad. And, you can even start with a $3,000 to $1,000 budget, and you're going to see a significant amount of quality traffic go to your site, from Facebook. And LinkedIn is a great opportunity to engage as far as programs are concerned. So, like, when I do Facebook ads, it's not just like, hey, like, we have this car. So what I like to do is actually do a program that we may have, like, for example, like college grad program, New Year, new keys or something. Imagine this in your driveway. Don't purchase a Lexus before you see this. Like, it's something that you're not going to see everywhere else, and it's personal to Facebook.
Absolutely. And I think, that's one of the big things is create things other people aren't doing and other people aren't seeing. Maybe differentiate yourself. I'm not saying that you got to recreate the wheel here, but I am saying that get a little creative, get a little fun with your marketing. People in today's day and age want to have fun. Look at Red Bull. They had a guy jump out of space. They had him, parachute from space.
Right.
That's not traditional marketing, and they got tons and tons of eyeballs for that. And I'm sure they made a boatload of money off of that, just one endorsement.
And it's fun, because one of the things that when I was working with BMW, we didn't quite get to, only because we couldn't really quite figure out the logistics to make it safe. But we thought it might be a great idea to have Josh Cribbs of the Cleveland Browns at the time race a BMW 5 Series, right? Like, across the field. But we really couldn't quite figure out, like, how to make it safe. You know what I'm saying?
Running over Josh.
Right. So, but it's like, I think that it would have, worked or whatever, with a bigger budget and stuff like that. But, just starting to think outside the box. And then as far as programs are concerned, I think a lot of people underutilize the national help that they get, because the national brand has, the college program, the corporate program. They have all types of the military program, and that allows you to have like a human interaction with people, because everybody's been a student, everybody has a job, everybody has a military experience of some sort, or somebody in their family, a police officer. So how are you kind of talking about that? And social media is a great place as far as social media ads to advertise that. And it's simple as creating one landing page on your website that kind of says, hey, like, this is what my military program offers, this is what my corporate program offers, these are the companies that can patronize it, and then putting a nice little card together and then serving it directly to those people. So, like, you're looking for, just say, 35 to 55-year-old men who work at Dixon Eaton, or 35 to 45-year-old women who work at the Cleveland Clinic or Mercy Hospital or whatever, and it allows you to kind of increase your ROI, because it's like, okay, this is a ad that's directly for me. Like, you know, and even if the car isn't in it, take a picture of the car next to the corporation, right? Go down to Goodyear, take a picture next to the blimp with your car, and then serve an ad on Facebook talking about your corporate program and how Goodyear employees can patronize it. You know, it's like getting creative. Like, nobody cares that a car is $299. Like, they care, but they don't. Like, that's a radio ad. And you got to be a little bit smarter on social.
Yeah, no, I agree. And, you know, just driving your cars to local places and taking pictures of them, that's something that dealers don't do. You know, all dealers have the same pictures. You know, they just pull it right out of the little spot at the dealership, take some pictures, back it right back up. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, you know, like you said, get them people to, you know, connect with, oh, that's me getting out of the car at Playhouse Square and at the flats and, you know, things like that. And, oh, man, that could be me with that new BMW 5 Series, you know, driving down, you know, whatever street in Cleveland or, you know, whatever the case is. So, yeah, I mean, just resonating, touching your customers and getting them to engage on that level, that's a lot more, you know, fun and less stagnant. I mean, it makes a huge difference. And it's something that I think every dealership is doing wrong. I mean, there's honestly, I would say more dealerships than not are doing it wrong that are doing it right.
It is. And it's sad because, you know, especially with the emerging of technology, you know, people don't purchase cars, they purchase people. And like, there's not a difference between a BMW that's sold at, you know, the spot in Akron or the BMW that's sold at the spot in, you know, Erie, Pennsylvania. They're all the same car, but people purchase people. Like, and so you need to understand that on your online presence, that is one of the first touches that they're having with you. And if that doesn't look and feel good, it doesn't feel human, it doesn't feel real, then they're out. Point blank, period.
Absolutely. I mean, would you say that's the biggest mistake dealerships are making is, you know, just not connecting with their customers on more of a fun, personal level? I mean, what do you think of, because there's a lot of mistakes they're doing, but if you had to niche down on maybe just a few, what are some of the ones that you would say all dealerships need to address right now?
I would probably say definitely is the human connection part, because I think that, you know, you're in sales, I'm in sales. I understand that, you know, it's easy to have an eat where you kill mentality of like, I got to get this deal, I got to get this, or whatever case may be. But you have to understand that in order to get the deal, in order to get retention, because I feel like retention is way more important than the deal itself. You have to have that human interaction with people, and they need to feel good about it. So, everything that you say online, you need to back that up when you walk into the dealership, and then make sure that we used to have this saying that no client's hands touches the door. Make sure that when they walk into the dealership that they feel like an honored guest, like not like just, hey, like, ooh, here's a check. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, this is my big opportunity to game somebody. This isn't it. That it's basically, you know, making them feel like an honored guest, doing what you say you're going to do. So if you say, I'm going to call you back in 30 minutes with an answer, if you don't have an answer, call them back in 30 minutes and say, hey, like, I'm still working on it, but I just wanted to let you know, like, you know, like just that human standpoint of it, that I feel like they need to kind of get corrected really quickly. And then the follow-up process, you know, just because they don't purchase a car today doesn't mean that they won't purchase a car in a month. And, you know, so just kind of check in on them and, you know, check on their birthday, read the lead when it comes in. Where do they work? Like, if they work at a law firm, are they going to be a little bit more analytical? Like, make sure that you convey exactly what they're looking for, or, you know, so that you're not wasting their time. Like, I know your time is valuable. Like, say words like that, those type of talking points that make them feel good about, like, they're in safe hands. That's just it. Like, everybody wants to feel safe.
Absolutely. And, you know, one thing you said there that really resonated with me was that retention. I mean, right there, that customer retention. I mean, if you get a customer that you sell once, they have a terrible experience, maybe you beat them over the head and you got that salesman got them through the deal. What did that do for you? You just got a customer now that's going to go tell everybody they talk to not go to that dealership because your experience was horrible. So, you know, like you're saying, if you look at your process and make it to where, hey, let's make these people's let's make them feel like an honored guest. Let's make it an enjoyable experience. Let's give them an experience they don't get from any other dealership out there. They're going to go back and they're going to talk. Hey, you got to go buy from this dealership. It was great. Send 5 people to your dealership, come back in 3 years, buy another one. And, maybe you have a customer for life. And there's a lot more money in a customer for life than a one-time customer who just dogs you after they leave your doors.
It is, and I even try to tell salespeople all the time too. So it's definitely, I understand in this industry that people don't always stay in it for whatever reason. And so when you are even turning over, how do you even handle that turnover process? You need to call your customers and say, hey, like, I'm actually leaving, due to whatever. And then it's like, but I'm turning you over to these people. And then here's the manager's name, because one of the issues that I had at a dealership that's going to remain unnamed is that people felt very uncomfortable on the high amount of turnover, and they didn't know who to talk to. It's like I've been talking to just say Joey for the last 3 years, and now Joey's gone, and I don't know who to, and I'm being transferred all over the place. Like, you need to always give a client a touch point, whether you're there, whether I'm on vacation or whatever, because I know it drives me crazy as well. Like, because if I'm purchasing anything and I'm used to talking to whoever, and then it's like, what do I do? Because they don't know your organization. They don't know what to do. So you need to make sure that they always feel safe when they're interacting with you in some way or another.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, hey, we're running out of time. I hate to cut this a little short, but we've learned a lot of great information today. Let me ask you this. What's one of the things that you could leave some business owners out there about digital marketing? Maybe they're on the fence about it or scared to get into it, or just aren't doing it right now. What's something you can leave, the business owners and dealerships out there with, about getting your business into the digital age, and maybe a little bit about how they can go about making it happen?
I would probably say that, like, when you think about digital, like, sometimes just like a workout, like, it may hurt at first, but you're going to like it. You're going to like the results. And so just do it. Take the time to think it out and do it right. Think about what you actually want to say and what you want to be known for, and then make sure that you get the right people or even yourself to make sure all your digital assets and digital marketing, everything, from pay-per-click, as like trivial as that is, because pay-per-click ads are probably the most candid ads out there. They're like, is that saying what I wanted to say, and does that represent what I'm trying to represent? And today, tomorrow, and 10 years down the road, because you always want to create a memory, online, in person, ever. You don't ever want to be just simply forgettable. And so just do it, think it out, and just go from there.
Absolutely. Well, hey, again, I thank you for being a part of Pivoting Digital. I know the dealerships out there definitely need to hear that information, because, dealerships is something that I do, on a daily basis as well. So it's near and dear to my heart. So I'm glad that there's other professionals like you that are out there spreading a very similar message to what I am, to help, some of these dealerships get into the digital age to where they can, stay along for the next 20, 40 years, or maybe if they don't, maybe they'll be gone in 3. So you never know. But again, thanks for being a part of it. Let me ask you this: if there's any dealerships, any business owners out there, how do they get a hold of you? How can they get you to come in and help them with their issues?
Yeah, you can go to my website. It's www.keepcalmplayon.com, or you can just email me. You can just email me at Chrissy, CHRISSI at keepcalmplayon.com. So, next play, like, we worry about everything, so you don't have to. So, Beautiful.
I know you got a lot of great information from Cristina on that last interview, because I sure did. Our last and final speaker for today's event is going to be Todd Burch. Let's go learn. We got another great interview coming today from Todd, and he is the owner of Evolve Creative Group. And we appreciate you for being on the Pivoting Digital interview with us today, and we look forward to learning that digital marketing knowledge that you possess, and I can't wait to get into this.
Let's do it. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Chris.
Absolutely. So, one of the first things, I like to start with is, when you come into a new company or a new business, or you're talking to a new business owner,
What is one of the first things that you establish or you do with their digital marketing so that they can get, off to the right foot and, start bringing their business into the digital age?
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it really depends on if they have been exposed to any digital marketing, from the get-go. A lot of business owners, in fact, I just had a call a couple hours ago with a young business owner just starting off, maybe 2 years into business. And, he's telling me about, I'm trying all these different things. I'm doing some traditional marketing. I know I need to be online. I need to get into the digital realm. I just don't know where to get started. I'm reading blog posts. I'm reading books. I'm listening to CDs, but I just don't know where to get started. So he reached out to us because he knows, like many business owners and like myself, you wear so many hats, you just don't have the time, which is why you've created this platform. So I think this would be beneficial. So the first thing we do is really establish where are they at. Do they need the educational piece? So do we need to kind of educate them on what the digital realm is like? Most people are familiar with the old traditional, right? Direct mail, radio, broadcast, billboards, print, advertising, those things. So those are tangible items. They're familiar with it. They don't mind spending money. In fact, they may already be spending thousands of dollars on those platforms, but they just don't understand. They didn't grow up with the digital media. So that's kind of an educational piece there. If they're already familiar with it and they know they need it, then we just kind of jump right in. And our first step is to learn as much about the business as possible. So, it's about onboarding. Who are your competitors? What is your business all about? How can we take you from where you're at now to where you want to be? What are your goals? What are your strategies? What's your unique selling proposition? So we're just really trying to be a sponge and learn as much about them as possible. That's our job as an agency, to really feel like we're a part of their team, and to understand their business as much as we can, and then go from there. And then from there, we start to learn about their customers, their goals and strategies, and what they're trying to do. So most times they're trying to get more leads or more prospects, more sales. So we start to kind of educate them on the different types of digital media that they can get into, and start to put together a strategy, what's best for them. So that's kind of the first step, and we call it baby steps, right? So it might be nice to, if you're new to this game, not to put all of your eggs in one basket, and to take baby steps and to do a little small PPC campaign in Facebook. It's so cheap. You can move the needle very quickly, get in front of couple 100,000 people very easily and instantly. So if you have a new product or service or some sort of sales offer, you can really get out in front of them, and you can start to learn how the digital realm works a little bit, as opposed to diving into a big beast like Google AdWords.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And, it's interesting you say that, business owners have, been used to using traditional marketing, radio, things like that, and they're willing to spend, thousands of dollars. I know I was speaking with one dealership that was spending, $20,000 a month in a mail campaign, and they didn't have much of a social media. They didn't have a Facebook ad campaign, and it's confusing to me, personally, just because I understand digital marketing, grew up in that realm, and as you said, maybe they just don't understand it, and it's kind of something that they don't want to jump into. So when you have a client, or when you're speaking with a business owner that is spending maybe, let's say, $20,000 on a digital or on a mailing campaign, how do you get them to, realize that money could be better spent in a digital campaign? And, what would you advise them to do to potentially take those baby steps in, maybe transitioning some of that spend into digital instead of putting all their eggs into a traditional spend?
Yeah, that's easier said than done, right? That's a tough task. Oftentimes, if it's a small business, we're dealing directly with the business owner, and they're wearing many hats, and it's tough to get them to change their ways or to try something new. Typically, it's going to be maybe an intern or some younger person that they've hired that's working with them, maybe even an office assistant, somebody who's saying, I don't see us online. We don't really have a presence. Maybe you should try this. Or if they see a competitor starting to get into the digital realm, then that could be the catalyst for them to say, okay, I need to do this. For us, something that's been tried and true for them, or at least they think so, it's not going to be, let's move everything over to digital, right? This is going to be a transition, both from an educational piece and one, quite honestly, I mean, digital, it does work, and it works for most businesses and organizations, but it's really not for everybody, depending on what you're trying to do and who you're trying to get in front of. So what I say is, again, take those baby steps. Try a small campaign in Facebook or Instagram, or maybe even a small campaign in AdWords, and let us kind of earn your business or prove to you that you can get a great return on your investment. So once they start to see those really valued leads come in the door, those qualified leads, and then they see those turn into sales, and they can tie that back to an ROI and see all the tracking, the full funnel from start to finish, then their eyes start to light up. You show them some analytics and a little bit of data that, at high level that they can digest, and they say, wow, I've never seen that. I don't know really what my direct mail is doing. I can look at my books and see some spikes here and there, and it ebbs and flows, but I can't really attribute it directly to the media spend, unless that's the only thing that you're doing, which typically they have a couple different things in the mix. So that's where you can start to then take that educational piece a step further and say, this is what digital marketing is all about. You can try, you can test different messages, artwork. You can test it on the fly. You can get in front of different groups, different segmented groups by different personality traits or interests or behaviors. And you can really start to drill down to the person that you're trying to get in front of. So that, for us, it's kind of a trial and error. Let's slowly migrate you into this new space, and let's test it. Let's see together if this is going to work for you.
Absolutely. Now, is there one platform maybe that you've been seeing, or that someone that's newer to business or newer to the digital realm, that it can kind of jump in a little quicker than others? That, I know Facebook ads is definitely one that's helped us move the needle, for some of our businesses. Would you say that maybe Facebook is one of the better ones to get into if you're new with it, or what's your experience with some of the better ways to get some traffic back to your sales funnels and websites?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it all really depends upon how you get into it. So let's say if you're a business owner and these people really, they like control, they want to do everything. So if they really feel like they're going to manage it, then I would say Facebook is probably the easiest, although it's becoming more and more complex as they're trying to compete with the big boys. But that would probably be the easiest, most cost-effective, and best return on their investment to start off. But if you're going to, and I'm going to be biased because I own an agency, and I've seen it time and time again, where you have a business owner and they wear too many hats. So I would either, if you think you're going to get into the digital realm, I would either hire somebody internally and find somebody young who's maybe fresh out of school or a couple years experience, let them kind of learn on the job with small spends, or hire an agency like ourselves or your place to have somebody manage it for you, somebody that's an expert in the field that does this day in and day out and has a direct pipeline to Facebook and Google and Bing to answer those questions that you need to get answered. It's complicated. It really is. There's a lot of different aspects to AdWords and even Facebook these days. So to me, I really feel like if you're going to spend the money and even do a small test, do it right and hire somebody. And I'm not saying hire us. I'm not trying to put agencies on a pedestal, but at least devote somebody to manage it, whether it's internal or external. It's not something like direct mail where you just design it, build it, send it off to a mail house and hope that it works. You really need to manage it. And when you do that, your dollars can go a lot farther. But otherwise, it just kind of sits, and time and time again, I see it go on autopilot. And that's what these places love. Google's great for that. They have this Google Ad Express. They just get you signed up, plug and play. You don't have to know anything. And then 2 years down the road, I have clients we start working with, and we say, wow, didn't you know you had an AdWords campaign running? It's been running for 2 years. You've spent $10,000. Oh, I didn't even know that. It's just there. We've never touched it. And you're buying all these keywords that should be in your negative keyword list. So again, I'll take baby steps. If you're going to commit, go all in. It could be a small test, a small buy, but find somebody that knows what they're doing and let them help you get there.
Yeah, and that's a great point, and that's honestly what I tell people to do as well, because I wouldn't go to a heart surgeon, or I'm sorry, I wouldn't go to a doctor that works on your feet if I need heart surgery. And someone that is good at heart surgery has gone to school for 12 plus years. They've went through it, tried it and true. And one of the things that you mentioned is maybe high that comes right out of college, and sometimes that scares me as well, because in digital marketing, social media, I personally think it's something that you need to be in, feet on the ground, spending money in marketing spend, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't, A/B testing certain things to see which way you want to go. And I'm not sure that they teach you that inside of a university. I mean, it's such a new industry that I don't understand how somebody would even teach that in a university. And then if you bring that person into your company and you hire them in and they don't really know what they're doing, they just have this degree and whatever, and you just give them a marketing spend and they're targeting the wrong markets or putting you in the wrong platforms or doing the wrong stuff, essentially you're kind of back at square one, and you're probably paying them $40,000 a year to mess up your marketing. So it kind of scares me as well. I mean, what do you think?
No, I couldn't agree with you more. We work a lot with the Taylor Marketing Institute down at Akron, and we have an internship program that we work on with those guys, and even Kent State. And you're absolutely right. And I know the professors down there, and they do a great job. They have a great program. And the one thing they can't teach is experience. And that's, they do have, I forget what the program's called, but they have a program where they take on real work. But if you're not in that program specifically, then you're basically just working on school projects. And unless you're in it, you're setting up an AdWords campaign and managing it and reviewing Google Analytics and tying that all back together. You really don't get the experience. And you can watch videos all day and night on YouTube and read books, but just like anything else, until you actually get in and start working on a campaign, you truly won't learn the ins and outs of it. So, yeah, you're right. I don't know. It's all about money, and we just work with several small businesses, and I understand that their budgets are tight. So that might be one way for them to be a little less risky as opposed to hiring an agency. But there are agencies out there that can come at a lower cost and are willing to work with you to get started, in the hopes that maybe it becomes a bigger campaign or more of a 6-12 month commitment. So
yeah. No, absolutely. And, what is funny to me, honestly, is you even meet some small business owners that will tell you, hey, I have $2,000 a month and, local Clipper magazine campaigns. So, I want to get my local traffic, and, that's the ticket. But then, you bring up a digital marketing spend and they're like, oh, there's no way I'm doing that. It's not going to work. And it's, I just don't see where how it transitions. So, I mean, let me ask you this, what are some of the things you see business owners that are, constantly making mistakes, like maybe having too much in some place that they're not at, or not doing videos, or, what is some of the things that you see business owners making mistakes at, and how would you advise them to fix it?
I think the biggest thing is setting it on autopilot. That truly, we see that unfortunately so many times, and in fact, we even see agencies that do that, and that really burns me up. If you're going to do something, do it right, and you have to stay on it monthly. So you can't just set it up and hope that everything is working and just let it go. You have to, like you said, you have to be in there testing and A/B testing and looking at data from your analytics, maybe looking at some behavior data from Crazy Egg or Mouseflow or ClickTail, some of those more expansive programs, and learning about users and what they're doing. So you're spending this money, they're coming to your website or a microsite or a landing page. How are they interacting with that page, and are they actually driving leads through your door? So that, for me, that's the biggest thing. Like, just don't let it sit on autopilot. Manage it, hire somebody, commit to it, and start going from there. Once you start doing that and you're managing it, then to your point, if something's not working, then you can turn that valve off and reallocate those dollars to another portion of the campaign. So typically what we'll do after we learn about the business and their consumers and where they're at, then we develop a strategy just like anybody would. You say, okay, we're going to have 50% in Google AdWords, we're going to have 10% in Bing pay-per-click, and then we're going to do another 10% in Facebook and in Instagram. And then you start running those campaigns, and as you're managing those campaigns, you're starting to see if they are effective or not. And this is the educational piece that really helps me sell this to business owners or anybody who's not in the digital realm, is you have the ability to control that any way you want. So that's just a faucet. You can turn that baby all the way up, or you can turn it all the way off. Unlike direct mail or broadcast or radio, where it's this big buy-in, and once you're in, you're in, you can control it. So you have whatever, $5,000 a month, and you can divvy it up as much as you like. So you just watch it and evaluate it, and whatever you're getting your best return on your investment, then start moving dollars, to that platform. That's, for me, that's the beauty of it. You have so many different options, and each platform is a little bit different. You have to really understand the platform.
No, absolutely. That's a great point. And you always hear the word, ROI thrown around by a lot of business owners. And then, it makes me question if they really understand it, because, like you've mentioned, you don't know your ROI from a direct mailer. You don't know your ROI from a radio spot or a billboard, right, or even a television commercial. So if you're so worried about ROI, then at the end of the day, you really should move all of your dollars into digital, because you can watch where you're going, turn the faucet on or off on the different avenues that are working. And to me, that's ROI. And, you see a lot of business owners hanging on their old traditional spends and then throwing around ROI. And to me, I'm confused.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's a different mindset, right? That's the shift that needs to happen. And that's been the biggest hurdle for me. And, even dealing with marketing VPs and directors that have been around for a lot of years, they may not have been exposed to digital marketing. And they're now being tasked with it, or they're seeing that their competitors have entered that realm and they need to get into it. So it's an educational piece. It's a mind shift. Traditional's been there, and everybody just kind of assumes this is where I need to be. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with it. There's a time and place for traditional, and traditional coupled with a digital marketing campaign can be very effective. But it all goes back to your dollars and your budget and getting in front of the right people at the right time with the right message. That's what it all boils down to. So if none of your consumers are on the internet, maybe you don't advertise to them, but obviously we know that's not true. Even the older demographic is there now. So which platform are they on? How are they consuming the internet, and how can you get in front of them?
Absolutely. And I think, honestly, I believe Facebook, the fastest growing demographic on Facebook right now is 65 years and older.
Yep.
So more people over 65 are joining Facebook than people that are 18, 16, 20, 25, whatever.
Right.
So you can see that even the older group that is never going to be on Facebook is what a lot of people say and they're there. Right. And we know my grandma's using Facebook, and, everybody in my family uses it. So I don't know how you can say it's not. One thing that, I've noticed with a lot of businesses is not many of them are taking advantage of email marketing. I know you'll have a lot of agencies, a lot of people, and they'll tell you that email marketing is one of the highest revenue bringers for any digital marketing campaign. And I want to say it's less than 15% of businesses are actually using email marketing.
Yeah.
Do you use email marketing? And how would you advise people to bring that into their business so that they can take advantage of those returns?
Absolutely. Email is king, just like content is king. Email is still tried and true, one of the best ways to kind of keep people in that lead nurturing pipeline, right? I think the biggest hurdle is people don't understand how to manage it. There's lots of different platforms, constant contact, exact targets, eye contact. I mean, there's a million different platforms that you can get on. but they don't understand how to build that database and manage it. And again, you're a business owner, you have a million different things you're doing. I don't have time to do this. I don't want to learn how to do it. So you need to hire somebody to help you manage it. But oh yeah, absolutely. Email, I mean, that is immediate. That is the one touch point that you're being interrupted, and you've given permission, most likely, and you should get permission to email to these people, but you're right in front of them. You have their undivided attention. Whereas these other platforms, you're kind of interrupting them while they're doing something else. But yeah, we've seen great success in email. In fact, one of our bigger clients in the home improvement industry, they did some email marketing. They weren't truly taking advantage of it. And just this past year, we kind of recommended that they bolster it up a little bit. And we're doing it in a manual fashion. They're not on some sort of marketing automation platform yet, but they've seen a tremendous uptick. So the manual time, even that, they have an internal person managing it, but they've seen a tremendous uptick in prospects and leads because they're staying in touch with these people. They're staying top of mind. And we kind of treat it, we call it remarketing. So whereas you can do PPC remarketing, email is remarketing. You're just staying top of mind, and hopefully if you're doing it manually, you don't have some automation system that has all those points in the journey, in the sales journey, but you can kind of you can take some estimates and start to understand your consumers and when you should email to them and when you shouldn't. So yeah, I'm with you. Email marketing is something that I feel like is dying off, and I don't understand it. And we're not doing as much of it as we used to 3 years ago. But we push it, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, let me ask you this. So if you're a business owner, like you have a list of, 1,000 names or 1,000 clients or whatever it is, or, how often would you say they should be, emailing them, maybe once a week, twice a week, multiple times a week, maybe? How often would you say they need to be touching base using email marketing?
Oh man, that's a tough question. That's always seems to be the question. How often, what time of day, what should the subject line be, how many times a week? I think it's all based on the organization, the business, and the product and or services that they're selling. So it's going to be different per business, and it really should be. So if you think about your users and look at your sales cycle, the last thing you want to do is you just earn the trust of this person. They've given you permission to email to them, and then you email them too often and they unsubscribe. So now they're off the list, and that's not a good thing. But I don't know. I see, especially in the B2C, like in the retail market, I'm sure everybody's signed up for Target, Kohl's, all these different retail shops. They're emailing every day, sometimes twice a day. And it's annoying. I don't unsubscribe though, because there might be a good offer in there. And I think that's one of the things that I've seen change over the last couple of years is the frequency in which these companies are emailing. So even big places like OfficeMax, I get 1 or 2 emails a day from them. And over the course of the week, it's the same stuff, just repurposed and kind of put into a different message, but it's the same offer, the same sale. Yeah. So I guess what I'm saying is, to me, if you have a big company that's doing that, hopefully somebody is managing that and they're saying, well, our unsubscribe rate is so low, let's just keep doing it because the people that are eventually clicking, are turning into sales.
Yeah. No, and that's a great point. And one of the reasons I asked, because, I've read articles and studies from, reputable email marketers that say 3 times a day is what you should be emailing some of these companies. And,
that's
maybe
crazy.
not, sometimes, like you said, it's a little too much. But the reason I say that is because I'll talk to business owners and they'll tell me, oh, yeah, we shoot one out once a month. Oh, yeah, we'll shoot one out every, maybe bi-weekly, or maybe we don't even do one once a month. And It's just like, these companies are doing it 3 times a day, and you're doing it once a month. Like, you got to think about this. Like, you need to be doing it. Me personally, I would say at least twice a week with any business. And at the end of the day, you got to be using it, and a lot of people aren't.
Yeah. So. No, and I agree. And I will tell you, probably one of the biggest challenges is the platforms. They've became more like a content management system, like Constant Contact. It has widgets in there and little modules that you can shift around and almost kind of drag and drop-ish. But it's still not in such a way that I think the normal lay person who's not like in the business of designing and coding and marketing can whip those things out pretty quickly. So I think that's one of the challenges, because there is an art form to email marketing, just like everything, right? But having a good mix of images and text and the right amount of links and the right subject line and things of that, calls to action. So, but get a template, get a system together, and think of something that you can swap in and out very quickly, and find a system that you can manage. We use Constant Contact a lot, and that one's been around for about 15 years. It's solid. It's fairly easy to use. They have somewhat of a responsive template that you can use so that it's mobile friendly. But yeah, I think the biggest challenge is just the platforms themselves and being able to push those things out. Whereas social media, I mean, that's so easy. You have a photograph or some graphics that you can put together within the social media app, and you can push that out rather quickly. Whereas email takes just a little bit more. So I think if it was a little bit easier, we'd see small businesses and even marketers in general pushing those out a little bit more. But yeah, the question will always be how often, the frequency. And again, I think it goes back to you just need to test, just test and learn and see what works best for you. If people start unsubscribing and they're shooting off your list, then yeah, maybe you need to slow down because you don't want to lose those people.
Absolutely. No, that's great advice. And, you mentioned something that you said you called remarketing, which is genius in my mind, and it makes a lot of sense to me. And another area that I've at least told business owners that they can use that remarketing strategy is, Facebook likes. Every time you get a Facebook like, as long as you don't, piss someone off to where they unsubscribe or unfollow your Facebook page, you can remarket to them time and time again. And, maybe it costs you $5 to get that like, but if you market it to them 100 times, that cost to acquire that like, just went down tenfold. So,
right.
Remarketing is something that I believe a lot of people aren't using. And it's very strong because, to pay for every click you get can get expensive. But if you can remarket to your email marketing list and to your Facebook fans and your likes and, maybe on LinkedIn and all these other platforms, you can really stretch that marketing dollar to pennies.
Yeah, no, you bring up a great point. It's funny because we get a ton of business from our remarketing. And I think it's that one tangible piece in digital marketing that is the educational piece where kind of the light bulb goes off and they say, oh, I get it. Because if you go to our website, evolvecreativegroup.com, and you leave and you visit anything, Facebook or any other website that's out there that uses Google's platform, you'll see my face follow you around. And I apologize, but it works, so we've kept it. But we'll get people like prospects who have searched our website and maybe they didn't call us or convert at that time, so we remarket to them just like we should. And they start seeing us and they're like, they finally do call us and I say, how'd you find us, or what brought you to Evolve? And I keep seeing your face all over the place, so I've realized I probably should give you a call. And that's the piece. We stay top of mind, not to the point where we annoyed somebody or got on their nerves, but it was enough. They're banners, and people have banner blindness, right? But they still see them, and even if they don't click, and that's the beauty I tell people, particularly with Google AdWords, because it's a PPC model. You're only paying when people click. I honestly don't care if people click because I know they're seeing my face and they've met with me, so they've already tied it together. They'll call me or email me when they're ready. So it's that brand awareness, staying top of mind. That everybody, regardless of what they're researching, whether it be a product or a service, they're looking at 2, 3, or 4 different companies, comparing. So why wouldn't you want to be the one that stays on their mind as they're going through the process? And particularly if you have a long sales cycles. Because remarketing, just like most digital media, you have a faucet there and you have lots of parameters that you can control. So you can have that remarketing go on for 3, 4, 5 months, or by a certain amount of impressions per day. So you can really kind of toggle the faucet. a little bit. So we've had tremendous amount of success with remarketing with many different types of businesses and services, and it's so cheap. It is so cheap. And Facebook is Facebook got rid of ad roll, which was very clunky. So they have their own remarketing program built right into Facebook's ad manager, and it's a lot easier to use. So yeah, that's a great place. So, again, having multiple impressions, they've been to your site and they're just surfing the internet and they're seeing your ad all over the place. And then, when you tell somebody, okay, so picture this, you go shopping, Zappos, and you're looking at sandals. You don't buy anything. You looked at 3 or 4 different pair. You leave, and then you go to your Gmail or Yahoo email, or you're surfing the internet, and you start to see these ads that have the sandals that you were just looking at. And they say, yeah, okay, I get it. What is that? I want that. Mm-hmm. That's when that light bulb goes off. Everyone kind of gets that. The shopping remarketing is phenomenal how they can do that. It's a little creepy, but from a marketing standpoint, it's pretty amazing that we can do that type of dynamic advertising.
Yeah, and it makes a lot of sense because me, I'm more of a sales background. Came into marketing, and what I've learned is you don't create a sale until the 5th or 12th contact. I want to say 80% of all business happens in the 5th to 12th contact. And traditional marketing to me is more of a one and done kind of deal. Let's put the best commercial together and see how many people we can get from this one commercial. It's a one hit kind of approach. Right. Where with remarketing and things that you're talking about, it's more of a, hey, let me talk to you 5 times, 8 times, 12 times, 15 times, 20 times. Let me be there. So when you're ready to buy on your time schedule, I'm going to be the person that you come to, and you're the one that, I've been the person that you've been seeing this whole time, so I'm going to be the one that you contact. Right,
absolutely. And quite honestly, Facebook to me is the best platform for that because Facebook is 90% or more mobile, whereas, some of the Google remarketing, the banners are so tiny, you really don't get a nice impressionable area, but Facebook has a really nice ad that's, it's in the feed, so you may or may not see it, but I think about my personal use on Facebook, and I always see the sponsored ads as they go by, and they're usually relevant to me based on things that I've researched or websites I've been on. So, yeah, for me, I think Facebook is a great retargeting tool, and again, very, very cheap. A little bit different. It's not a PPC model, so it's based on impressions, but it's still very, very cheap.
Yeah. One of the big things I see, or at least I think people are getting wrong is, you come to their website and their website is built towards, it's information. We've been around 40 years and we have no call to actions. We have no email captures. We have no videos, explaining why you should buy from us over competitors. And it's really kind of like a big brochure for their website, essentially. What do you do for companies to optimize their website to get, or I guess to turn some of that traffic into more leads, into more customers, as opposed to just having, maybe a brochure on your .com?
Yeah, no, thank you for that segue, because that, I was thinking about, our talk today, and really what it all boils down to, all of your media that you're buying, whether it be traditional or digital, is all driving to one place, and that's your website. That's your foundation. That is your number one marketing tool. And one of the biggest challenges, even I've been doing this for 20 years and I've been building websites for a long time, and I still see people who don't understand the value in their website. So we get, even small businesses or even big companies who are penny pinching on, I want to go with, some guy in his basement for $500, or, I want to go to Wix and just use this template that looks like every other Joe Schmo cupcake shop down the street. So there's nothing unique about your website. And when you're on the internet and you start looking, and this is one of the things that kind of bugs me since I've been on the internet for so long, is, back in the day, things were more unique. There was more design. Now everything is starting to look very similar. And I like that people, anybody can have a website, and I truly believe every business should, but spend the money and invest in a really great website. And it doesn't mean that you have to spend tens of thousands of dollars. There are companies out there who can do a great job, but build something customized to you and your audience and your goals. And to your point, if you're just going with some theme or some template that everyone else has, it has to be modular. It has to be similar enough that anybody, any business or organization can just plug and play. So it's not going to be unique to your business. It's not going to understand your consumers and their sales journey and what your goals and strategies are. So they're not pushing a white paper download or a design consultation form or signing up for a webinar, whatever you're trying to do to get, lead gen information. So yeah, I'm going to be a big proponent. That's always been kind of the crux of my background is design, website design development. So we are a big advocate of, spend the money, do it right. If not with us, with somebody else. But oftentimes, I'll tell you, it's interesting for us as an agency. So we have that part of our business and we have the digital marketing piece. So we'll have clients that we do everything for. They'll come in, we'll build their website, website redesign, and then we'll continue to do SEO, PPC, social email, and drive people to that site. But we also have, particularly small businesses that have done what I was just talking about. They build a site with somebody, $500, and now it's not doing anything. They can't be found in Google, and they can't get a hold of the person. They're saying, okay, what do I do now? I need a better presence. So we have to go into the back end of this content management system, and it's a mess, and we can't really do the things we need to do because we're kind of strapped down by this WordPress theme that is garbage. So that's kind of a frustration point for us. We'd love to help them, but we need to make tweaks. If we're going to push all this media to a landing page or your website, we need to have control of it and be able to do what we want to do. So yeah.
Absolutely. And people are, to think about it, they waste a lot of money if you're sending traffic, if you have a website that's not, turning that traffic into a new customer, capturing a lead, or doing, what you want your website to do. Because at the end of the day, people are always going to come back to your website. And if your website turns them away, then every marketing dollar you just spent to get them to look at you just threw right out the window because they, basically just talked you off and threw you to the wind. So it's definitely one of the things that I think a lot of business owners need to, focus on is getting that website optimized to where, regardless of where you're going to get this traffic from, you need your website converting, turning into leads and bringing that traffic into more customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the challenges, particularly these last few years, is so when responsive design or mobile, the smartphone came out and everyone finally realized, hey, I need to have a website that's mobile friendly. The cost for a website tripled because essentially there's 3 times the work, right? You're designing and developing for a desktop or laptop, so a bigger screen, an iPad or some sort of tablet, and then a smartphone. All 3 of those, are very different, both in the presentation and the experience, and it takes triple the work. So the cost became a little bit higher. And then you started to have all these Wix and 123internet.com, all these places where you can do a website for $500. So I can see where somebody would be, interested in something like that and would try to spend less money. But I think there needs to be that educational piece that, you get what you pay for. And your website is your #1 marketing tool, particularly if you're a small business and you don't have a lot of time. Let the website do the work for you. Spend the money and let that be the vehicle. Let that be the sales tool. And then have them give you some information so you can follow up and do your thing to close the deal.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I mean, I met with a business owner as just kind of a consultation style meeting, and he was on a Wix website. And that's one of the first things I told him is, you need to get off this Wix website. It's not unique. It's plug and play. I don't even know if they'll tell you that they get organic ranking, but I don't find too many Wix websites when I search organically. So I'm not sure if that's true or false.
Yeah.
So, at the end of the day, I was just like, if you want to be serious about your business, get off Wix, get a good website that's going to, switch get your traffic, get leads like we've been talking about, and, spend the money if you have to, because it's well worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. And you say, I'd be interested to hear from you because you said you work with a lot of restaurants, excuse me, right?
Restaurants, RV dealerships. Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we've been approached by a lot of local restaurants, and those are fun projects. Like, we love those types of businesses. Obviously, they're local, they have a nice flair, and they're just fun because you have to go sample the food and the beer and everything else. But they are notorious for not believing in how a website can generate business for them and how important it is. So that therefore they don't really want to spend the money. And that's kind of been a tough point for us. And we've worked with a few that have understood that, you know, there's value in it. But for the most part, it's been a challenge. And it's unfortunate because those are, you know, really cool projects. But you'll see in Cleveland and even like University Circle and some of the cool spots up there, those websites look great. And they realize, you know, it's a younger demographic. These people expect to have a great website, a menu that you can actually view online and not have to download a PDF things like that. So it's the educational piece. It's just, you know, we're about 10 years out from us old guys being out of it, and you have kind of your younger generation that grew up on it that just gets it. So we don't have to do that educational piece. Now it's just about who can do it better and, you know, at a better price.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think, you know, like you said, it's just that educational piece, because a lot of restaurant owners I talk to, they're in that same boat. And I think it's because they're just stuck traditional. We've done this forever. This is what works. So we're not going to go out of our comfort zone. You know, I had one guy that spent $80,000 to put a digital sign that just flashed and had lights on it out on the busy road, and doesn't want to do anything social. I'm like, dude, you're insane. 80,000 in a social campaign would have had this restaurant packed.
Right.
You spent it on a brick and digital sign that probably brought 5 people into your restaurant for the end of the year. I'm like, dude, you're crazy, but hey. You know, sometimes people are stuck in their ways, and that's, you know, at the end of the day in business, I always tell people it's not the strongest, you know, businesses that survive. It's the ones that are most adaptable. So if you don't adapt to the times, you know, it's going to catch up to you eventually. And, you know, that's part of the reason I put this program together, was to get some of those business owners that may be behind in the times, get off that fence and come digital, or you're going to lose it all. And, you know, obviously we don't want that to happen. Because small business, you know, is a very important part of our economy across the board, and it's definitely something business owners need help with, at least I think. So, you know, nonetheless, you know, great information today. I know our business owners learned a lot from you. You know, what is one of the things you would leave our business owners out there with, to where maybe they are on the fence, maybe they're not doing digital marketing at all, or maybe they just haven't had much success with it? You know, what would you tell them to do to maybe, I guess, kind of get back into it, or, you know, how would you advise them to get in, you know, bring their business into the digital age so they don't get left behind, and so they can evolve?
Yeah, I think it all just comes down to buying into the fact that this is it. This is the future of everything. And to have them really think about their experience. So if they're going to look for, even in their business, maybe they need to look for some new vendors or some services to sub out for some reason. They're going to go to Google and they're going to do a search. And if they're not on the first page or in the first few listings, they're gone, right? They're bouncing. So that's where everybody starts their process, regardless of their age. So it's Google's world. Let's just call it what it is. It's Google's world and Facebook's world, and we're just kind of living by it, and we're trying to work with it. So you need to be found, and you need to get there. Like you said, you have to at least buy into the fact that this is here, and you need to take some baby steps to get to a place where all of your other competitors are probably already there, or they're thinking that they need to get there too. So the first person that's there and masters it is the one that's going to win, because you're going to have that much more experience, and you're going to become, in Google's eyes, the authority for your industry, which takes time to build that trust and to earn that, you know, that stamp. So I guess in short, I would say just give it a chance. It does work. You can track everything. You have more control of your dollars, and it doesn't take a ton of money. It is the most affordable way to market to your consumers, regardless of what business you're in or what products or services you provide or who your consumers are, whether it be age, demographic, demographic or ethnicity. All those people, all those things can be reached online if you work with somebody that understands how to get in front of the right person at the right time with the right message. But it all comes down to starting with a good foundation, right? If you're in construction and you're building a home, a good footprint, a good blueprint, good foundation, everything builds on top of that. So your website, you have to spend the time and money and think of it as an investment and not as kind of a commodity item. This is something that's going to drive your business, drive your sales. So that would probably be the one thing that I would leave is, commit to a website and commit to a small test and try it. And you'll see for yourself, I guess, if it works for you or not.
Absolutely. And I always say, your website's your 24-hour salesman. and it's a lot cheaper than paying a real salesman.
I haven't used that. I might steal that, but I like that. You're right. It's always there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
absolutely. So, well, thanks for being with us, Todd. I appreciate your information. For our viewers out there that want to reach out to you, that want to get a better website, that want, your expertise and want to work with your agency, how do they find you? How do they get a hold of you? How do they contact you?
Well, if you go to our website, you'll see our number there, or our lead generation form. And if you don't fill it out and you leave, you're going to see my face follow you around from remarketing. So you'll be reminded to give us a call. But yeah, you can send me an email at toddb@evolvecreativegroup.com, or you can fill out our form or give us a call at 234-571-1943. We'd be happy to talk with anybody, or at least just give some advice. I'm a small business owner too. I get it. I wear a lot of hats. I don't know everything. I can't be the expert in everything. So I'm willing to help out. And just like you said, the small business owner, that's where it's at. That's what's driving this economy. So let's help each other out.
Absolutely. So, hey, again, thank you, Todd. I learned a lot from this, just 45 plus minutes here. I can't wait for our business owners to apply some of this in their business and bring their business into the digital age. So, again, thank you, viewers, for being a part of Pivoting Digital. Get out there and start. That's the biggest thing, is start doing some digital marketing. Get your website optimized. Get your footprint looking good.
Wow, what a great way to end this Pivoting Digital Summit. Todd just left us with some great information and knowledge on how we can pivot our business into the digital age. I'm Chris, your host, and this Pivoting Digital Summit has been brought to you by IMR. And I really want to thank my speakers, because without the knowledge they brought to this summit, without all of the free ninja tricks and strategies and tactics that they taught us in this summit, it would not have been possible. So I couldn't have done it without any of my speakers. I truly thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this event. The business owners thank you, entrepreneurs are going to thank you, and everybody took a lot from what you brought to the table. So again, I thank you, speakers. I thank everybody out there for being a part of the Pivoting Digital Summit. Make sure you go onto our website, infinitemediaresources.com, subscribe to our YouTube channel, like our Facebook, subscribe to our email list, and that way you can keep up to date with Pivoting Digital and everything that you need to learn to bring your business into the digital age. So we will see you at the next summit. Have a great one.